So here we go, and we are live with our Vote Chess rematch. And I have the first poll up if you guys are already watching. We had white in the last game against ChessPatzerUK. We're going to have black today. And it's not a guarantee that they're playing 1e4, but it seems likely. So we're just going to plan our response ahead of time because we have to get that in quickly. If they play d4, maybe we'll do like an on-the-spot vote.
Can we run two polls, Kostya? Like, can we run the d4 poll after this one closes?
Yeah, if we have time.
Like run this one for a couple minutes and then start the other, depending how long it takes to start the game.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we'll just see. If we get the challenge in quickly, then I won't want to keep them waiting. All right, let me send a tweet. How's everyone doing? Who here was in the match last week? I think Countersparks was here. Pawn Grubber, not sure.
I was here, regrettably. Jesse voted for d6. I voted for e5 this time because I saw what total disregard the other team had for developing their pieces last week. So I thought a double king pawn would be a good place to go.
Yeah, that's a good point. I'll go for e5 as well.
I mean, normally I'm a Sicilian player, but
we can handle all the gambits there.
But you know.
Oh, it's getting close now. Oh, it's very close between e6 and d6.
e5 won't be boring. If they don't bring out their pieces, it's one of the fastest ways to win for black.
Okay, are they online and ready to go, or what's going on?
I think I saw them streaming, although I haven't gotten a challenge yet. Apparently last week we got the time wrong, so we were an hour late. Then we were supposed to,
they were waiting for us for an hour?
Yeah, that's right.
Remember, like an hour before the thing, I was like, "Hey, when is it? Isn't it now?" And you guys were like, "No, it's at 2." And I was like, "Okay." Yeah, they're streaming, and they're so you challenge them.
Maybe I will. Let's see. Oh, I need to 1 sec with you guys. I need to share our poll so you guys can see it. Oh, David, you need to enable screen sharing. You got your child lock settings on.
Well, Kostya, do I trust you? Who can share all participants? All right, I'm risking it and giving you control here.
Cool. Oh, okay. And your videos got messed up, so let me fix that real quick.
Any of you been listening to the Beatles in the last 20 minutes? No?
I actually, I grew up with the Bill Withers songs on the radio, and then after he died, I was like, accessing modern technology to find all the songs that I hadn't heard before, and the ones on the radio were all like the Lean on Me songs and all the happy songs, which were great songs, but like I hadn't discovered any of that guy's other stuff, So that was my recent musical.
And was it as good as the famous stuff?
It was cool. Yeah, it was. The guy has a really interesting voice where, although it's coming from a place of hardship, it's not a whiny tone, which was like a lot of the boomer generation when they were doing their music, they were always complaining about something. And he's got just like a really cool, easygoing vibe about him, which made me as a kid not take the music seriously because it felt like it didn't have an edge, right? Like There Ain't No Sunshine When You're Gone and songs like that. But beautiful. Great, man. Yeah.
Sati. We got Sati and zombies.
Oh, there we go. All right, I'm gonna send them a challenge.
And it seems like we've got a tie in our vote. So if they play e4, we don't even know what we would do yet, right?
Apparently not.
See if I can remind people how to vote. If I hit exclam vote, does that say? No, it doesn't. Okay, exclam rules might do it.
I like nobody wants C6. Nobody wants that stuff, man.
Poor Caro. Nothing wrong with the Caro.
It wouldn't surprise me if they played something just totally weird like B3 or F4, man. I think that's kind of their style. I feel like when I was listening to them, they're kind of like influenced by the Simon Williams school of chess, which is play pretty weird but aggressive.
Yeah, where you know the ideas. Yeah, I would expect either. Actually, I remember them talking about King's Indian attack, so we could get that.
Yeah, you could get something like that, right?
Or if D4, maybe Trumpowski. Okay, E4. So what's going on in the poll?
All right,
So
guys.
the poll is tied, so we need
the
some
next vote.
more votes.
The next vote wins.
So you can vote by typing 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5.
Yeah.
If you're not sure if you voted yet. And Kosti, are you going to give the poll like maybe 30 more seconds? No, you can't even, right? We just have to move.
I have 35 seconds to make a move.
We've got 35 seconds to make a move. So we've got like 20 seconds left for the poll.
And C5 is now tied for the lead.
Mm-hmm.
Well, now I'm seeing 5 points in favor of E5.
All right.
Oh.
My
Well, that's
secret
it then. I guess
classical
we're playing
side coming
E5.
through.
All right, looks like we're going for it.
All right. Then go for it. Wow, D6 almost got there too, right?
Yeah, it was very close. But then we would have flagged because it forgot.
But then we would have flagged. We needed to move.
Would have aborted the game.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we got a big advantage on the rating. Big advantage, just in terms of the strength of like the commentators. But we did lose last game, which was very upsetting.
Hey, can you share the Lee Chess or wherever it is thing where?
Oh yeah, we're actually playing on chess.com this time. I'll put
okay, got it. I was wondering because I couldn't
link
find
in
it.
the,
I was like, what's going on?
Oh yeah, it's in the Twitch chat. And let me make sure that the times are visible as well. It's a 45-45 game.
Cool.
You're right.
Let's go to live chess. Oh, guys, we're going to have an event next Sunday, too. I don't know what the time is, but we're going to play a fan club match, a live fan club match against fans of the Argentina Krakens. So the format there, I don't know what time of day it's going to be, like, noon or 2 or 3 p.m. But the format is each person gets paired against one other person on the other team. So you play individual chess, but we'll play a whole match, and then we'll do some commentary on the games and sort of analyze games for you after you're done if you want us to go over your game, that sort of thing.
Awesome. And so it's just for fans.
Yeah, to join it, you'll have to join the appropriate fan club. So,
Have either of you guys ever played E5 in your life?
Yeah, quite a bit.
Okay, good.
yes. There are a few moves I haven't played, Jesse. I'm
why don't we do
3-0
a poll?
I'm
If-
3-0 in
if knight
USCF tournaments with one knight H3. So
Dude, they're talking about playing the King's Gambit.
Yeah, 100%.
That's why it's taking forever.
People are like, come on, just throw it at them.
they should know not to.
Yeah, I think we're okay. I mean, David has a ton of experience from the white side. I've seen it a little bit with black. We'll be fine.
No, I mean if they play the King's Gambit, it'll be over in 20 moves.
All right, I'm
All right,
voting for
knight
knight
F3.
C6.
Okay. Yeah, I could have had this poll ready. But what are
Did they play
our
knight
options
F3?
here?
Yeah.
Knight F3.
All right. In the poll, put in F5, the Latvian Gambit.
Oh man.
I'll leave it in there.
Let the people have a chance to vote for.
Oh wait, it didn't go in. All right, if you guys vote for F5 in the chat, we'll count it.
I think, by the way, I just want to play classical chess against these people until they crack.
I know. You're correct. We can just develop our pieces, and then when they do something dumb, then we can just
take
win.
it.
Of course, D6 was a move too, but yeah.
Oh, the last game, it was us who did something dumb.
Kostya, one thing about the stream is that the poll is in the. You have like a running thing of all the comments coming in, but then it's blocked by the poll.
Yeah, I figure that'll just be visible when we don't have a poll up.
Fair enough.
Yeah, just not enough room for everything.
They're gonna maybe do like a fried liver gambit or something like that. Maybe a scotch.
Yeah. Too
Or
bad not
Ziani.
as clearly as the King's Gambit.
I don't think they can play classical moves. That's the other thing about this team, I think.
Well, they played Knight F3. That was a good
Yeah,
start.
but you can play Knight F3 and still have a wild hair.
Yeah.
Yes, that'll be crazy.
Well, if they play Bishop B5, then you've got to admit that they're classical, right? That's done.
I'd be surprised
Real
if
chess.
they played Bishop B5, yeah.
Real chess.
You know,
They
I
play
think we're
the
gonna
Spanish, I
see.
got no idea what to do.
Oh, we'll be fine.
I guess the
Everything there
Schliemann,
is.
I could vote for the Schliemann.
Oh my god.
Kidding. I want to learn the Rui Lopez. I'll play some normal moves if we get the Rui Lopez.
Yeah, that'll be
Oh,
solid.
I'd love to get a Berlin against these guys.
Berlin, let's play something classical, Jesse.
That'd be great to get the Berlin against these guys.
You don't want to play like a Chigorin or a Zaitsev, something.
No, that would be fine too. Yeah,
Something
but they're not going to play Bishop B5. They're talking about being crazy here. They're going to do. They can't help themselves. I've played this kind of opponent so many times. I know already. It's coming. By the way, I want to say, like, the more I get, the older I get, the more I'm envious of E5. It's just like, especially nowadays when the lines are so tame. You know, when you back in the day when you played E5, you'd be getting hit with some kind of storm, and now you're just sitting easy. It's easy these days.
Yeah, it kind of is.
So you're saying you should play E5 as black?
Well, it's at least, you know, it's a lot safer than like any of the other things. Definitely. Like with the French, you play one bad move, you're dead. With E5, you, especially in those tame lines, you've got to make multiple bad moves before you die.
So understanding that there are no classical tournaments being played right now, have you switched from E6 to E5 like when you played 2 months ago?
Me?
Yeah.
No.
No. You're just stuck in the French.
I'm stuck too. You should check out my new video, though. I did a video that what I was happy with is I diagnosed like French players. Like I feel like I got a pretty good diagnosis on them as being dudes who couldn't handle open fighting positions.
I think you nailed it, Jesse. Speaking as a former reformed French player myself.
Okay, let's put in Knight F6 and Bishop C5. Those are my votes. If somebody wants to play Bishop E7, that's fine. But let's do Knight F6 and Bishop C5.
Yeah, those are kind of the main options here.
Yeah. Give them another move to vote on, Bishop E7 if they want. I mean, it's understood that that Knight F6 and Bishop C5 are the good moves, and I'm not going to play F5 here, so.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm voting for Bishop C5 just because I personally don't love the fried liver as black. I'd rather just play Bishop C5 and go for those lines.
I think there's something really evil we could do with Bishop C5, which is they could try and play the
They're going to play the Evans if we play.
They could try to play the Evans, and we could play Bishop B6, and then they'll just be in hell. So, if I were playing against myself, that's what I would do right here. I'd go Bishop C5, B4, Bishop B6.
And let's just be clear. I feel like I know these people. On Knight F6, they're going to do fried liver. On Bishop C5, they're going to do either the Evans or C3.
And you're not tempted to just beat the fried liver, huh? You don't believe in ourselves.
Oh, Jesse, by the way, are you logged in under the ChessDojo account?
I hope I'm not screwing things up. I guess I am.
No, you're okay, but you should switch because I'm on this account, and so we won't be able to both.
You
vote.
only get one vote divided between the two of you.
Yeah, so you'll need your own vote.
All right, let's see here. Log out.
Which is fine. Dorton wanted to allow the fried liver, but it looks like we got more votes for Bishop C5.
All right, let's say back as Jesse, hopefully.
All right, let's see if that.
Oh, I've got to log in and stuff. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we could get some C3
Oh God,
here.
they sent me like a text message and stuff. Oh my God.
Twitch has got to be really careful. Lots of people want to be Jesse.
So funny.
Let's see how we're doing on time so far. We got 44 minutes, and they've got 41. They play this part so slowly.
So
and
relaxed
then
for this part, yeah.
Hit the crazy middle game, and like they play like every move.
They found every
super
move
fast. It was like mind-boggling.
Yeah, that was.
It really blew my mind.
Well, it's just they're just playing with us. You know, it's this confidence thing. It's like we expect to win. They give us huge advantage on time, and then when their back is against the wall, they just find every move. So
yeah. It really felt like getting hustled, you know? Not that anyone's ever successfully hustled me, but maybe they did, but
yeah, so this time we got to just like take it slow. I think just take that small advantage, just grind it, slowly improve. I mean, we'll see what they go for. I mean, now it's like it's kind of too late to play d4 under any reasonable circumstances.
Can't they just play d4 here?
ED, and I mean it just transposes to like either Scotch Gambit or like Joko Piano.
Right. But there's also a line that goes like d4, bishop d4, knight d4, knight d4 castles, right?
Yeah, I think we would just go e takes d4.
Yeah, they're gonna play b4. I don't know why they're even thinking about it.
You guys want to take the pawn if they play b4 or play bishop b6?
I'm comfortable taking the pawn here. I think bishop b7 and then knight a5 is still super solid.
Yeah, but it's not
These guys
particularly
I play
good.
bishop b6.
I guess it's okay. I don't really know much about bishop b6, right? I just know that if you want to play the Evans Gambit and someone plays bishop b6, it's like your world is falling apart.
You know, one thing that's interesting about these guys is last time too, they burnt a lot of time in the opening, and then later, then they really like started going for it. They were playing a lot faster.
Yeah,
They played their best moves when they were playing fast.
and that middle game was super complicated. I mean, yes, we were getting devastated. We were sort of down a piece, but it was messy. Like there was ample opportunity for them to blunder or lose something, and they didn't.
Yeah, and they did a good job of not running too low on time. So they always left themselves with enough to figure out what's going on.
All right, they castled.
Okay, so here, guys, I feel very strongly that d6 is a lot more accurate than knight f6. Because against d6, d4 is really bad. Against knight f6, d4, we kind of get this
Also
like
really bad
bishop d4 line. But then I think black kind of has to know a little bit too much. But I mean, I'll give you guys a choice, of course, but that's just...
All right.
Yeah, I mean, we can certainly let people vote on that. There's d6 or knight f6 here. Probably also...
The advantage of knight f6, though, right, is on d6 they can play c3.
Yeah, then we go knight f6, and if d4, bishop b6, this is okay for black.
Okay.
Huh. Okay. I'm going to just play the principled move, honestly. I'm going to play knight f6. I think it just seems right. Just develop your piece. Basically tells them that they got to play this stupid d4 move.
That's true. I mean, they can go like for just normal Italian game, but yeah, they can do that against...
You mean they could play d3, right?
Yeah, d3, c3.
Right.
One thing...
Jesse would love to see them play d3.
Well, I think actually with d6 a cool thing is they want madness, but after d6, c3, and follow Kostya's line, then it's a very positional setup, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true. Kostya's idea, c3, knight f6, d4, bishop b6 is certainly going to be a maneuvering game. Just one I know nothing about. If they take on e5, do you trade the knight on c6? Kostya?
Yeah, you usually trade this one off. I think sometimes for tactical reasons, but a lot of times also just for strategic reasons, because if they put the pawn on c3, black often has a problem with this knight.
It's not that good a knight, and it's defending e5, so it can't move, and the knight on f3 is attacking e5, so you'd rather just trade those two.
Yeah. And then there are also some concrete reasons there. If you guys imagine c3, knight f6, d4, bishop b6, take c5, knight e5, knight e5, d e5. It seems like white can win a pawn there with queen d8 and bishop takes f7. Feeling like Naka here, but at the end black will have rook f8 and knight takes c4, and then black is even slightly better in that endgame because going to be more active. So we might get that. That might happen.
Yeah. Whoa!
d3.
D3.
Oh, look at this.
Scared.
So here we do have a lot of different moves, right?
Right. We could play f5.
I'll put it in. So far I have knight f6, a6, and f5.
I'm glad you mentioned a6, right? I guess I would want to play a6 after c3, but a6 in general is going to be a good move in this position, yeah.
So if they're going to play with c3 and d3, in general, it's not that good to put the bishop on g4, is my overall understanding.
That's right.
Because if white plays h3, you don't really want to take, and you don't really want to retreat. So
yeah, bishop ends up misplaced here.
Are we just playing like bishop e6 at some point in this structure?
Usually, yeah. Black sets that up. All right, I'm going to start the poll. These three moves. Some like rook e8, bishop e6, or you can play bishop e6 and just accept the double pawns in a lot of positions as well.
f5, man, this is serious business with f5.
Well,
all right, I'm going for the classical move, but it's pretty intense with knight f6 because you have to then that's going to get potentially hairy variations with.
Oh, whoops!
With what?
Hold on, they're saying d3 was a mouse slip.
Oh,
I mean, if they wanted to play d4, I'll happily let them.
Yeah. Plus, I mean, we're not
should
really
we-
mouse slips in a vote
Let them
test.
take it back, dude, because they don't want to play this game.
Yeah, should we restart the game? I don't know if there's
Can we give them a take back?
I don't know if we can on chess.com.
Oh.
But I'm fine with just restarting the game and just repeating the moves.
Playing out these moves.
Yeah.
Okay. But then this goes down in our permanent record as us having to draw against them.
True. I did make the game unrated to protect my.
Can you offer an abort?
I didn't see the option there.
All right.
Send them another challenge.
We'll start over.
And you have to make sure they're white, or else they'll flip the colors.
That's right. Although, maybe not. I mean, the challenge was sent stipulating that we play black. We'll do that again.
Yeah.
Right, guys. Moral victory. We gave one to them. No problem. Mainly because I prefer that they do play d4.
No, they're going to play c3. They're going to play c3 in that position.
Oh, that's what they wanted. Okay.
That's the natural mouse slip square too.
Okay. There we go. Yeah, they can.
You know what else? They tricked us too because now they got all their lost time back.
That's true.
Yeah.
The time they spent convincing the chat not to stop voting for the King's Gambit.
They didn't want their own chat to play the King's Gambit?
I would imagine they want to just... Well, they have two commentators there. They have JT, and then they have Adam. I think Adam is more the classical guy. He kind of keeps everyone in check. Like, come on, guys, let's... he's from what I saw, he's like the reasoned voice.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of loons in their chat just trying to like sack pieces on every move.
Oh man, I should be on their team. What am I doing with you guys?
They have to like rein everyone in.
If you guys lose, I'm definitely joining their team next time.
So if they play c3 here, we're gonna have knight f6. Okay, and any other options? Guess bishop b6
Bishop
is
b6.
also fine.
Knight f6.
Which one do you want, Kostian?
I would just go for knight f6.
Okay, fair enough, yeah.
But I don't think bishop b6 is bad at all.
I'll vote for bishop b6.
I think most likely just transpose.
But bishop b6 preserves the chance of playing f5. for one more move.
That's true.
Just in case they play, a3 or something next. You never know when some rook pawn's going to grab hold of their hand.
So I want to say, Kostya, this is like before you were born. I had this. I used to play this as white, and I played it with the c3 before you castled, so c3. And my understanding back in the day was that if they let me get in d4, as we're letting them get it in now after knight f6, that white was a smidge better.
Yeah, that was supposed to be the case.
But I do appreciate that the tension on d4 is hard for white to maintain, and he's the one who has a problem piece with the knight on b1.
Yeah.
We don't really have a problem piece anymore.
I'm just going to do some puzzles to wake up because I didn't warm up before the game.
Yeah, that's kind of how I feel. As soon as they play d4, bishop b6, like they never want to take on e5. That just allows us to equalize. Pushing d5, I just love for black, like knight e7, knight g6, and so they just have to kind of keep the tension, but then they have to make sure that knight bd2 doesn't block the d4 pawn.
Right.
But then if they go bishop e3, then e4. Yeah.
And like David said, that if once the pawn does go to d4, then our bishop going to g4 makes more sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
I don't think, by the way, that if they took de, I don't think that's equal, because we get to trade off our bad piece, which is the knight on c6, and they're stuck with the knight on b1.
Oh yeah, so we could say we're even slightly more comfortable there.
I would much rather be black in that position.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, comfortable equality.
Let's say this, though, they're not going to trade queens, buddy.
Yeah.
So the challenge for them will be, like, they're going to play d4 because that's who they are, and then it will be hard for them to create the kind of drama that they want.
Mm-hmm. They have to try to keep the space.
And I think actually one key thing that they have to understand is, like, if they have an advantage, it's because our bishop on b6 and the knight on c6 aren't totally great. Mm-hmm. Right? So maybe something like, d4, bishop b6, and then moves like rook e1, h3, something like that to keep those pieces at bay.
Yeah. So question from the chat, what's the plan for bringing in the light square bishop? So yeah, if d4, then we'll look for an opportunity to play bishop g4, because we'll put that pressure. If d3, then the pin is really not that annoying, and then we'll just leave it here and eventually go bishop e6 most likely.
And actually, I would say if I was, like, say, coaching them or something, and they were the kind of player who wanted a messy position, in a lot of ways, d3 is what they should play, because from d3, at least there's more chances of later building up an attacking position.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right, like d3, rook e1, bring the knight to f1, and do that kind of game.
Yeah, it's very flexible. I mean, white can also do this, like, without castling, leaving the king on e1. I think it's potentially dangerous if black isn't, like, comfortable there.
Right.
By the way, guys, we just opened up a merch store. Very exciting. You can go check out and get a t-shirt, hoodie. We also have a coffee mug and a mouse pad and some stickers. And great way to support the dojo, but also getting something for yourself as well.
And a key shout out we got to do is Dor, who is watching, designed the logo.
Yeah, no, actually, so Phenom Monkey designed our original logo.
Oh, okay.
But Dor designed our faces that we might be using now with, like, cartoon versions of ourselves, which look really great.
Cool. Yeah.
I'm very, very excited for that. If you go to, like, our YouTube channel, you'll see we have, like, a nice banner up there. That really shows that we're legit.
Well, we're getting our time advantage back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe they felt bad and they Wasting some time.
Maybe they're solving puzzles too.
So, David, when you do these puzzles, what site are you going to?
No site. This here is just a book of sort of easy puzzles, excelling at combinational play. I've got
All right.
another source of puzzles that's much harder, but I won't have time to solve them during like one move of this chess game, so I'm not using those.
David, I want you helping us solve our problems.
But you guys don't have any problems yet.
David. We're going to have our own problems.
I'll be with you, but I'll be warmed up. If I just sit here thinking about how we're going to answer d4 with bishop b6, I won't be warmed up when something really happens. So I got you guys. I'm just getting ready.
To be fair, I'm still calculating. Okay, d4, bishop b6.
Exactly. I'm not just going to spin my wheels. I mean, I've been doing my trainings, and I noticed like the first like 10 minutes of every training, it's just like garbage, and after a few minutes, it starts to click. So I just make sure I'm on. Really.
Yeah, you really got to move pieces around.
Great Helm has a great question. Kostya, what's your intuition after? Oh, he does play d4. Okay. Yeah. So, we're just going to play bishop b6.
Yeah, I'm just going to
play
make the move. So if d3, I mean, there's different move orders and ways for black to play. So a lot of players will go like a6, bishop a7, just to make sure. Like in this position, d4 wasn't a threat, but you don't want to leave the bishop on c5 forever, because at some point d4 might be a problem. It's not really necessary to play h6 before we've castled, because if white goes for like an early bishop g5 in these lines, then we go h6 g5, and we'll even go queenside, and that's considered to be pretty dangerous for white.
Good point. Yeah, good point.
That said, once we castle, then white can play bishop g5, and then we don't really want to go h6 g5 in some cases. I mean, some players don't mind even if they're castled kingside, but a lot of players will just go h6 before castling, and then usually there's no huge drawback. White just goes rook e1, knight bd2, this kind of thing.
So David, we're going to need you, buddy. Get your head out of that book. Check it out. So for example, if bishop g5, I think they're kind of positionally setting themselves up to take on g5 after h6 g5, right?
They're planning to take on f6, you mean?
No, bishop g5, if they do it and they want to say it's a good move, after h6 they got to go bishop h4.
Oh, come on. Are you kidding me?
And then g5, knight takes g5.
That's ridiculous.
I'm just saying, I'm trying to channel them. Because this is actually...
Well, if we do that, Jesse, our plan is to win, okay?
I'm sure this is a theoretical position, for example.
All right, here's what I'll do. If they go bishop g5, we'll go h6, bishop h4, and then we'll take on d4 once. Okay? E takes d4.
Okay,
C takes, we go g5.
But then they can play bishop g3, and their bishop isn't terrible anymore.
Yeah, but then g4 wins their d4 pawn.
I knew the materialist was going to come out in you. But that's really...
No, this is just the warmed-up head.
So, Kostya, let me just ask. I'm sure this position is a theoretical position, but my guess is h3 is the right move for them now?
h3 looks right. I feel like rook e1 should be okay as well.
But what do they do after bishop g4? Like, that's their problem, right?
Yeah. Maybe h3 is kind of necessary.
h3 seems like the most likely move here. Is that what you guys are saying?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, I'm guessing maybe even for us after h3, maybe we should play h6.
Yeah, that would make sense.
Because you're afraid they're going to sack a piece on g5?
No, but because if we castle, then bishop g5 is a little bit more interesting for them.
For sure. Yeah, if they go h3, then we could look at like queen e7 as a move, as an alternative, or h6, like you say, could be good. We could even go h6, g5, g4 here.
I'm glad you said that, because once they play h3, they are inviting Gary the g-pawn.
Wasn't there a position like this where like Aronian or somebody just played rook g8 for black?
That was Kramnik. Yeah, it was
Kramnik,
epic
right?
game.
Kramnik against Aronian.
That was the 2018 candidates.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was huge. I think if
But
they
maybe
play
White's
H3,
pawn was
we
on
should
D3
explore
instead
that.
of D4.
It was a Berlin, but it was D3 C3 structure.
Right, because if you play Rook G8 here, then just D E5 and trade queens, and like, why did you play Rook G8?
Right. But H6 is fine because we can play Queen E7 and then G5. This is definitely a real plan.
I think this is a really challenging position for them because really they're not on the attack. What they have is like a small positional thing with our bishop on B6 and the knight. And right, they have to play against those pieces and they don't get to try to mate us. We're the ones who get to have fun, right? We're the ones who could maybe do some H6 G5 business.
I mean, why can't, like, Goliath has to win sometime, right? It can't just be... Yeah, I don't think DE5 is a clean draw for White. I think actually Black is going to be more comfortable there.
It'll just be a position, but I mean, we can't. Basically, it's just like I do much better with this attitude when I don't try to like win in 10 moves with Black, when I just sort of like accept things as they come and try not to get a terrible position.
Yeah, especially against these guys. I mean, like last game showed that they're not interested in just like trading pieces and trying to make a draw. Like,
But they may have that side to them too. We've only played one game against them. They beat us with the all pawn strategy. Who knows which one they'll beat us with today?
if they push D5, Knight will definitely go to E7 and G6. And then actually, Black usually gets really nice attacking chances in this type of thing because they block their bishop. Our bishop is like open long term, and then it's very hard for them to deal with this pressure. I mean, they have to play like bishop E3 at some point and trade off the bishop, but then they're left with kind of a bad light square bishop. And we'll continue like knight H5, queen F6, some knight going to F4, and just a lot of play on the queen side. King side.
Okay, question from Sledge. If we play queen e7 at some point here, and they play d5, where would we send that knight? Because if they played d5 here, we would send the knight to e7 and g6, like you're saying. So, so if queen e7 and they play d5, where would we go? I'm thinking we would go to b8, because a knight on d8 is very bad against a pawn on d5. So I think if we played queen e7 and they played d5, we would go knight b8 and then knight back to bd7 at some point.
Yeah, actually, I think this is real. I actually feel like there are cases, I think, in this type of line where knight d8 is not so bad, as long as you have a plan of moving the f-pawn and you can get the knight back in with knight f7. So it might be playable.
d5 is a terrible move for white.
Oh yeah, we were saying if we put the queen on e7 and they go d5.
Yeah, I still think absolutely terrible.
Yeah.
Then our bishop on b6 is beautiful. The bishop on c4 awful. It's like it's like a King's Indian on crack.
Right.
It really is.
But someone in chat, Jesse, was just wondering where our knight would go. So
Fair enough.
So we were just talking knight routes, but we do that we're not expecting that d5 would be very good for white.
Scott Post says no one over 1200 would play d5 in my experience. No, I think there are lots of like 1900, 2100 rated kids that would play d5 in this kind of position.
Absolutely, exactly.
Chess is full of eccentric personalities.
And children.
Well, no, I mean, if you're a kid and like you don't understand that the knight on c6 is actually our worst piece, and you're like, I don't know what to do. And honestly, there's some real psychological tension for white because he wants to, that d4 pawn kind of is feeling uncomfortable. It feels like it might want to move, you know?
Right.
Yeah, there's definitely that pressure.
All right, h3.
All right, good move.
I'm going to vote for h6, but what do you think, Kostya?
H6 makes sense. I think castles is officially okay as well.
How about knight takes e4, guys? It's got to be a candidate move. We got to at least talk or think about it.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
We can talk about it before we put the vote up. Well, the problem would be taking on e5.
Okay. We take back with
With
whatever.
with
a
knight.
pawn or something, or a knight, either one.
Let's say take.
Let's say I take back with my pawn. Now I'm up a pawn with pressure against f2.
Something like queen e2 after that. Well, go ahead, put it up. Put up.
Sure.
Put up knight e4 as one of the candidate moves.
Maybe rook e1 also immediately is a problem.
Right, then I would play d5.
d5.
You can't take on e5 because of bishop f2.
Oh, I was thinking, sorry, without taking on e5.
That's what he's saying.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'm saying if you go knight e4, rook e1, d5 from black, you now can't capture on e5.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Because the f2 square. And, I mean, white could try and equalize with a move like bishop d3, but, you know, the tempos white spent on h3 and c3 can justify a move like knight e4. I'm not trying to be up a pawn. I'm just going to take it, and then, you know, some things will get traded.
So, David, so let's say knight e4, de. You want to go de?
Yeah.
And then queen e2?
Yeah, and I probably have to play either bishop f5 or knight d6 or knight to g3. Oh my god, you didn't see that coming.
Yeah, I didn't see knight g3 coming. I didn't.
That's because you didn't warm up, Jesse.
Okay, I have to admit, like Bruce is a pawn grubber, so when he said knight e4, I was like, I don't know.
I'm not grubbing. It's just you want to avoid bishop g5, and they're playing moves like h3 with their center pawn hanging.
I think h3 was needed, though. Like, bishop g4 is very annoying.
I got a vote here for knight e4 myself. It seems good. I've been calculating. Let's go. Let's go, everybody.
I just trust it, and
Yeah, I don't trust it either.
There's nothing to mistrust, guys. You just take the center pawn. You're threatening d5. They got nothing. Whew.
It's totally possible that we turn on the computer later and it says that you could play knight takes e4.
Dude, we already turned on this computer. Don't worry, I'm not trying to be up a pawn. I'm just trying to trade center pawns, you know, let them take on e5 or whatever, and, you know, try and get their pawn back somehow. They played this h3 move, they're going to be so exposed to the bishop.
Okay, how about this, Dave? Just what if they're super boring? Knight e4, bishop d5.
Yep.
Knight f6?
Sure.
Takes on c6, takes, and then de. That's that's a little annoying. Yeah, that's a little annoying, isn't it?
Not too much. I'm fine with that kind of a transformation. And you know, I mean, bishop f5 might even be better when you go bishop d5. Just bring out a new piece.
Uh-huh.
You know, why? Then my queen on d8 is covered by the rook on a8. I'm just developing.
But then I can play queen e2, and
right.
And you got to go back.
Yep.
And my queen's developed too.
Yeah. Yep.
So that was an interesting thing. Now, by the way, I think we lost last time because we were arrogant, and that was definitely partly my fault. When I say we were arrogant, I'll speak for myself. And it is true that we do need to calculate this kind of thing. And it's funny, though, that me and Ghosty are both like, it just can't work on principle. Because it feels like white hasn't done anything wrong yet.
Yeah, but I mean, there's a lot of lines in the Italian where black plays knight takes e4. Not because white's done something wrong, it just transitions the position.
Fair enough.
There's the open Spanish, you know, and, you know, white hasn't even played h3 in those lines.
I just want to say aesthetically, I like this because we don't solve white's d4 problem for him. He has to make a good move here, and it's not clear to me what he's going to do at all. But let's imagine the guy plays rook e1, right? That's what I'm expecting.
Yeah.
Then I think our choices are something like queen e7 or g5.
Yeah.
I mean, we could also just castle there.
True. Good.
I mean, at some point on rook e1, if you play g5, d takes e5 might be a problem for us, right? They might be able to...
Right. We probably want to prep it with like queen e7.
Yeah.
Also, in those positions with g5, maybe white can go crazy with a knight takes g5.
I think if we're not castled yet, I've never seen a G5 sacrifice work.
Right. I mean, knight G5, H G5, bishop G5, rook G8. And if you take on F6, obviously there's no pressure. If you retreat to H4, there's bishop takes H3. So then white's playing like what, H3, H4 to hold some tension.
One cool idea for white might be rook E1, queen E7, knight H4. I think they should play rook E1. Honestly, like they're spending way too long on this move.
Yeah, I don't see another move.
We got a good question. Why isn't pawn takes and then queen takes queen a problem? And I think the answer is on pawn takes, we solve our knight on C6, which is our worst piece, and our bishop on B6. So we get to play knight takes E5. Let's say knight takes, pawn takes, queen takes, king takes, bishop F7. And in that position, we can start off with rook F8 or just play knight.
All right. They played rook E1. So our moves are queen E7 and castles.
Yeah, queen E7 with like basically G5 ideas, and castles kind of
just hold the line ideas.
Playing a little bit more conservatively.
Yeah. And I know that I said in these positions that that the bishop would go to G4, which it can't now. So we will have to figure out something to do with that bishop at some point. Maybe it just sits on D7.
I'm going for queen E7. It's a nice... I like it.
Yeah, me too.
I voted for castles. I think
All right.
looks like we'll get queen E7. That's fine. I just think it's I just want to keep giving them a choice. I want to play like as unforcing as possible.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so the interesting thing with queen E7 is like knight H4. I think we might want to play G6 after knight H4.
Sure.
Because one great trick they have is if pawn takes D4, then they could just play knight F5, and then we got grief.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, crowd has spoken.
The other disadvantage of queen E7 is we're just putting our queen on the same file as the rook. All right, it happened though. We did it.
Yeah, it was pretty.
One, we've previously said that if white goes D5, we'll probably bring our knight on C6 to B8 and then back through D7. We've also said that D5 is not a super attractive move for white because of what it does to the B6 bishop, which becomes so good, and then also what it does to the C4 bishop, which is kind of worsened by it. So most likely white's goal here is to defend E4 and D4 and maintain a strong center. But they have to figure out how to develop the queenside pieces here.
Right.
And yeah,
honestly, I think if D5, we should strongly consider knight D8, castles, knight H7, and then king H8, F5, and then, or we don't need king H8 anymore, but the knight will come back through F7.
I've got a basic question for you guys.
Yeah,
I think they should play bishop E3. If they play bishop E3, we then have to decide if we're going to be golden and play G5 or we're going to castle. Because bishop E3 sets up at least developing with knight BD2.
Yeah, bishop E3 lets them develop everything. It says they're going to maybe just trade on E5, trade on B6. So they're not even really worried about G5, G4 positionally because they've got D4 covered. I like G5, G4 better when it's, positional as well as attacking. When it's pressuring the D4 square, but also opening the G file. So I don't know.
I mean, the glory of G5 is we taking away a lot of squares from the knight as well, and then we can play even rook G8 before we play, hang that over his head.
How about if bishop E3, G5, D takes E5? What do you guys think about taking with pieces on E5?
Well, definitely get rid of our knight on C6. That's a terrible piece.
Like knight takes, and then maybe even queen takes?
Or pawn takes, both of those positions. I don't think he should take on. I think part of his grief is that psychologically there's tension on D4, and I don't think he ever wants to take.
I think once the bishop's on E3, it's like possible for him to just do it all, trade some stuff off, which becomes a normal position. guess the other thing White could consider is playing bishop b5 and saying, yeah, the Rui Lopez would have been better.
So, Kostya, let's actually talk a little bit. I think I also think knight h4 is very interesting for the guy. But let's say bishop e3. You've played this position. Is your instinct after bishop e3 to castle or to play g5?
I would probably be comfortable castling here. I think g5 is likely playable. Usually if White has played h3, g5 definitely increases in value.
Right.
I don't really see a reason why g5 would be bad.
Well, one basic idea could be like bishop e3 and then try to get the knight on b1 to g3 and talk to f5. Right?
Yeah.
It takes a while, obviously, and they always have to worry about the e4 pawn, but at least that's a clear idea for them.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas if we castle, I assume we're just kind of like holding the line then. One reason that g5 appeals to me is I feel like if we play slow, then their positional advantage with our knight on c6 and bishop b6 can be made more apparent.
Yeah, I think one of the plans for Black is actually to go knight d8 kind of unprompted, and then either bishop e6 or knight e6.
Fair enough. Okay, I like that.
But I don't know. I mean, bishop e3, g5, like, because I'm seeing lines like maybe knight d2, and then we can immediately go g4 takes, knight takes, or bishop takes, and then castle queenside, and that just looks very, very fun. Like,
if their bishop is on e3 and their knight's on d2, then we got to go for knight g4. I mean, I love developing the c8 bishop. But if that bishop's trapped on e3, I mean, we want to establish this guy on b6.
That's why I think they should play knight h4. Also, Kostya, if bishop e3 castles, that increases the value of a knight h4 as well, because then we can't even play g6.
Yeah, that's true. Knight h4 is more annoying after castles.
Well, with their bishop on e3 and castles, then knight h4, we could play knight takes e4 then. I know you guys hate when I take their center pawn, but...
They played a4.
But knight g6 is a problem.
That's exactly like that a5 move that they played on us last time.
But they didn't want to do anything else. Okay, so we have a6 and we have a5.
We've got a6, a5. We've also got g5, right? What are they threatening?
Maybe
d5.
D5. Maybe d5, yeah.
Maybe d5.
I think we should play a6.
Okay.
I don't know, Kostya, what do you think?
Well, a6, I think, is more consistent.
d5, knight a5. I guess all our pieces are tangled up even after they retreat, right?
Yeah, bishop a2, yeah.
Okay.
I feel like a6 is more consistent because a5 gives away the b5 square.
Now, last game, the right move for us was a4.
That's true in the structure.
I remember clearly that the winning move, I mean, I only analyzed this last night, so of course I remember it clearly. The winning move was just to play a4 and say we're done with this nonsense.
That's right.
So
let me just say one downside of a6 is that then after bishop e3, they at least have a positional threat of taking on e5 and doubling our pawns. I don't know how big of a deal that is, but it's at least a positional threat.
Mm-hmm.
That's true.
But I don't see a better move than a6. Maybe a4 was a fine move.
Yeah, it looks like a good move.
All right, Kostya, put up that poll. G5 or A6, I guess.
Oh, G5 should be in as well?
Well, I think I guess it's wrong, but I think it's actually very wrong. Maybe just play A6 then.
Yeah, D5 there and A5 look very scary. So I'll make a poll between A6 and A5.
All right.
Okay. Yeah, but what are we doing against bishop E3 exactly?
I'm not sure that bishop takes B6. I think D5 and DE are both so controversial that I'm not sure we're afraid of it. But at least it gives us something to be afraid of. After bishop.
Yeah, actually, I was just looking at a game. I think the structure is not so bad with A6 and CB because knight will come to D7 and C5 and.
Exactly right. But it's still, it makes it a little bit, it gives bishop e3 more spiciness much more spiciness than before, because then say bishop e3, a6, we have to ask more questions about whether we want to play g5 or castles then.
Yeah. All right, looks like we're going with a6.
Cool. Seems like the better move. I wanted to play a5, which told me that a6 was probably the right move.
Yeah, Sonny, if d5, knight b8, b4, the space means very little. Our bishop just hides out on a7, and it's very hard for them to really do anything on the queen side.
A very formative game for me was in a position similar to this, and this was before chess got truly modern, and it was a Karpov game, and he had this whole system that he played a bunch of times with. It was against the various different openings. Even there was an English opening too, where he just played a6 and h6 and just waited. But the idea was just to play a6, bishop a7, sit on it, and say to white that he has nothing he can really do to you anyway.
Mm-hmm.
I think they have still a big choice with bishop e3 and knight h4.
Yeah, bishop e3 looks very logical to me. I feel like because of the threat of trading, although maybe g5 is still fine there.
Well, right, yeah.
Yeah, I don't see it actually. Kind of takes a while for the other knight to get to c4 and put pressure on b6.
One interesting dynamic too about bishop e3 g5 is, like, if they were going to take on e5 now, I would by all means take with a knight. But once I play g5, since I want that g4 break really badly, then if they play de, I'm more tempted to take with the pawn to keep the knight on f3.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's logical.
Kosi, are you with me on knight h4? Are you also thinking g6?
I haven't found a better move so far. Although I would love to find a way to be able to just take on f5 and go e4 and d5.
Interesting, right? So, for example, knight h4 castles, and then if knight f5, snip, and then e4.
But we can't castle because of knight g6.
Good, thank you. That's the second time I've fallen for that.
Yeah.
Also, the other problem about e4, even if we could do it, is that really kills off our knight on c6 and just murders our bishop on b6.
Yeah, I think it's a little tricky when you go for that structure. Like, you really need knight e7, c6 as your next moves. If you can get that, then I think black is actually doing really well. But
also something I learned yesterday when analyzing our game from last week. The key to winning is moving that knight off of c6 or last week c3, and then c3 bishop c2. It's like that's like the winning plan every time.
Yeah. So knight h4 g5 is a thought, like knight f5 take e4.
No, but then our bishop is dead on b6.
Yeah, so we would need this plan again. This like knight moves. We need a lot of moves there, like d5, queen d6, knight e7. But maybe we have time. I mean, if the position is, if they can't open things up. Like, I'm not sure. It definitely feels very flimsy, but I don't know what they do after e4, because they probably don't want to push d5 themselves. So then we get knight e5.
And if you're going to do that, though, you might as well play knight h4 cast. Oh, yeah, I did it again.
Yeah, so it's hard to find a good waiting move for black there.
The other thing about knight h4 g6 is the knight, his best move in that case might just be to go back to f3,
Oh, but then we get g5.
We get g5. Exactly.
that would be a dream.
Yeah, that's why knight h4 g6 is probably pretty good.
But probably they have no issue with just leaving the knight on h4 for as long as they need to.
It'll eventually have to move.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we can go knight h5 at some point, right? Because we'll have a pawn on g6 defending ours.
But then he can play knight f5.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That doesn't seem like a problem for us, does it?
It'll be
Well,
interesting. Like
We can take it or play queen f6 then.
yeah, like g takes, queen h5, f4. And
that's interesting, yeah.
things are blocked off. Wow, so much time. Did they spend this much time last time too? Like,
Yes.
They did.
They
spent
got
a
down
lot
to
of
like
time,
20
and then
minutes
they
in
made
like the
their
first
moves really
10 minutes.
quickly.
unbelievable.
It's shocking. We're getting hustled the same way we got hustled the first time.
Yeah.
Right,
like-
we can't go into overconfidence mode.
right.
Exactly. I'm not. I'm feeling terrified.
Would you guys say we're a little worse or we're equal?
Yeah.
You
I mean,
think
I've
we're-
never played this way that Kostya's playing, where you just let white play c3, d4. So I don't have like the real like background. I'm not confident in my evaluation, but it feels like we're worse in all the lines I'm looking at.
No, I think it's balanced. I think black is okay. I mean, it's been a while since I studied these positions, but when I was looking at them, I remember just thinking like, at first I was like, oh wow, do I really want to allow the center? But you start looking at moves, and it's just hard for white to find like a good plan. Like they have bishop e3, knight d2, but black also has ideas like we've been saying, like knight d8, knight e6, knight h5.
Yeah, I totally didn't understand the knight e6 idea. I thought once you brought your knight to e6, white could maybe win the pawn on e5.
Yeah, it has to kind of work tactically for sure. Or maybe bishop e6 is a move somewhere.
So I don't really see how we would do the knight d8 to e6 plan.
I'm not recommending this, but I think tactically, no, I take it back. Never mind. I'm not even going to say it. I'm not even gonna say it.
Maybe some c6, bishop c7 first, and then. I think if black gets the pawn to c6, like we just solve all of our problems.
B4, they're revealing their true colors, my friends.
All right, should we go bishop d7, castles queenside? Is that?
Well, this is quite a. This move here doesn't look that good to me. Are they going to play g4 next or?
G4.
It's great about B4 is it really it's so in sync with the way they played the last game, right?
Okay, so they're not
It
really
is.
threatening b5, right? Because we could take it.
That's right.
Yeah, B5, or just play knight A5. I mean, yeah.
So
a5 is also a move right now. Just for us.
All right, so let's go through our candidates. We got A5.
right. we've got
Sure.
castles and g5 for sure as moves.
Yeah. So 3 moves so far.
I think B4. Okay, let me just say, I think what they're dreaming of. Let me tell you what I think they're dreaming of. They're dreaming of some madness where they are able to take on E5 and get B5 in, and then nail us with bishop A3.
True.
That's their
That's a
dream.
good point.
Right. So if we play g5, they might play bishop a3.
But at this point, I think we're kind of doing well in development that we just take with the queen on e5.
Right.
Let's-
Our plan in
let's do-
general is just to recapture with the knight for sure on e5 anytime they trade it.
Knight for sure,
gonna-
yeah.
They're going to play bishop a3 and try and play b5 before they trade, right? So like if we go g5, bishop a3, g4, hg4, bishop g4, then they'll play b5 there. And then
So, but if it's let's imagine, I see, G5. I think G5 becomes maybe a little bit controversial after B4, but let's just check it out. So G5, bishop A3, and then what do we do? G4?
G4, yeah, take, bishop takes,
yeah.
And
We
then-
could also consider knight takes, but
and b5. It would be nice if we could throw in e takes d4 first before we get hit with b5, but I don't
we
see a
could
way to
also
do that.
take with the knight, and then we're totally solid on E5.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, so yeah, this is where we screwed up last time, okay?
Right, exactly here.
Last time. So let's spend a little time. We've got G5. Castle short might be like the positional way of playing this position, and the move A5, which is, I'm not sure about it, but it's like forcing B5 so that our knight gets rerouted.
Yeah, then I think we go knight B8, knight D7 there. Not, well, actually no, knight D8 still makes sense to me. I don't know.
I want to say I don't like it because it feels like that knight on C6 is now, it does something. Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't seem necessary because they might just want to play B5 anyway.
Ooh, guys, how about this idea? G5.
Yeah.
Bishop A3. G4.
Yeah.
Pawn takes G4. And then we play E takes D4 there.
Mm-hmm.
I'm preparing a better square for my knight to go to if white plays B5. I'm ensuring that it can go to either E5 or D4.
Right, because ED, CD, bishop G4.
Right.
Then D4 is hanging.
Yep. And on ED4, if they play B5 there, I can play knight E5 there. And that G5 pawn, that G4 pawn of theirs is not getting away from me, right? It's doubled. It's attacked twice. They can never play F3.
So then knight takes E5, queen takes E5, right?
Exactly. And then they've lost the pawn on D4 at that point.
I'm going to say, actually, I think G5, I don't know what they should do after G5, but bishop A3 isn't it, because unless they can force us to move the D6 pawn, it's just a terrible square for the bishop, right?
Right.
Just terrible.
Right.
Yeah, this G5, G4 taking with the knight already seems like a very safe option.
Yeah, it's logical because like the stuff with like B4 and bishop A3 is to increase the pressure on the E5 square, and if we go G5, G4, we can fight for that E5 square.
Okay, wait. Before we put it up, let me ask you this, guys. G5, DE, what do we play then?
You always want to get rid of that knight.
Knight takes, right. And they do not, I think it's important to me they do not have time for knight D4, but let me just go through this again. So G5, DE, knight takes, and so your idea is if knight takes, we play queen takes. So let's say...
Honestly, I'm fine with taking with the queen or the pawn there in that particular position.
But isn't with the pawn, isn't bishop A3 going to be annoying?
No, because we don't have a knight on C6 anymore. So if they play bishop A3 and B5, we can just play bishop C5. And they've taken a heck of a long time to trade a piece. They could have just played bishop E3. And if they trade bishops on C5, our queen's good on C5. So it really just... It's like fancy moves to get nothing.
All right, guys, let's do the poll. G5, castle short, and I guess A5, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And we can keep talking too about this.
All right, I'm going with G5. I'm pretty convinced it's logical here. It feels like if white's trying to create some kind of pressure with stuff, I don't really like spending a tempo with castle's kingside. It puts another valuable piece on that A3, F8 diagonal. I mean, yeah. I just don't really see my plan there. I love G5, G4.
I really like this position actually, like with G5, bishop A3, G4, knight takes and knight takes G4.
Mm-hmm.
Because they could go B5 there, but probably put the knight either on A5 or again on D8, I think might not be so bad.
Mm-hmm. But did you see how good E takes D4 probably is in that line? Instead of taking back on G4.
Yeah, but that one looks very promising. So that's kind of like
so good to get that move in.
Okay, this is the most
because that keeps our knight on C6 good.
This is like the most decisive poll we've ever had.
Oh, our team was on board. They wanted to push.
Yeah.
Let's go, boys. All right.
Yeah,
Maybe
LFG.
we're not the only crazy people who want revenge, you know?
All right, here comes knight takes G5.
Bring it on. Bring it on.
By the way, earlier on, someone asked me about bishop b6 versus the Evans. And what I want to say about that, and I didn't respond, we didn't have time because the position moved on, but there's a lot of positions in that declined Evans that look a little bit like this, where the pawn on b4 is a little bit controversial, because now his structure is like loosey-goosey, and it's not quite clear what he's doing.
Yeah.
And let's just say something obvious. These guys need a good move right now. Like, they need a plan.
Yeah.
And they might be able to find something. This is like
they're about to hit that phase from last week where they just started pounding out good moves every like 15 seconds.
Right.
So let's see. I mean, I thought their move A4 and move 9 was perfectly reasonable this game, but I'm not sure about this B4 move. It does feel controversial to me.
B4 is highly ambitious. Yeah.
And maybe they have transposed directly to the delayed to what we could have had with the Evans Gambit. I mean,
that's funny.
Firing up their beast mode. That's right. Everybody get ready. Let's not mess up.
I think what's too cool about this G5 thing is we're participating in a bigger trend of chess where when I was a kid, it was not acceptable to play this way. And now it's just like a perfectly normal thing to do.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely. Now, these moves will be in the strategic echelon pretty soon. G5, H5 in every position.
Right.
It's going to be the new classics.
They exist in those Tarrasch Frenches.
Yeah.
It must be on Jesse's radar.
Yeah, a lot of Frenches, a lot of Sicilians. Some D4 openings as well.
Sledgehammer's asking, Sledgehammer's got a great variation. Knight G5, HG, Bishop G5, Bishop H3.
Yeah, I've thought of that idea too. Then when they take, you play Rook G8, H4, Knight H7. You've just given back your piece, but you're really tearing them up.
That's interesting, yeah.
I think there's a concrete problem that after Bishop H3, they can play Queen F3.
Mm-hmm.
Right, so we'll probably go with the tried and true Rook G8, Rook G6, which almost always kind of kills it.
Right.
Which is the main difference, like, as to when we're not castle, is that we can just put the rook on G6, defend the knight, and then king can eventually just go over to the queen side where it's going to be safer, and then we have, like, the open G file. So here, yeah, I feel like knight takes G5 is...
Oh yeah, Rook G8 is just brutal there.
Not
Knight
even...
G5, H G5, Bishop G5, Rook G8. Oh.
Yeah.
Then when they play H4, we can pawn grab on D4.
Or, Rook G6, just...
Well, we don't have to play Rook G6. We just take that pawn on D4 because we want to bring, like, our bishop or knight to D4 and just end it.
Yeah, no, I mean, we probably could. Yeah.
Because Queen F3 loses to Knight E5. So, it just...
Yeah. We're basically gaining the E5 square for our knight.
Jesse, somebody's saying back in the day you called G5 the G5 blunder attack. You used to be against this stuff?
I don't remember saying that, but it is true that in the last millennium we looked down upon this kind of play. Yeah.
Hey, they didn't activate their beast mode at move 20. Maybe it's because we didn't trap our own bishop. Maybe we are presenting a better challenge.
Yeah, this is a fun position. Let me just say something obvious that I'm sure you guys have already thought of, but I just want to put out there. What's really poisoning the white position for me is the stupid knight on B1, right? Like, the whole point of white's play, I thought, was to isolate our knight on C6 and our bishop on B6. But the more violent the play gets and the longer that knight on B1 stays out, it's like we're up a piece. Because at the moment, because of all this tension on D4, both our bishop on B6 and knight C6 really are playing. Whereas the knight on B1, yeah, the longer, he needs time no matter what to get in the game. And the game's about to blow wide open.
Yeah. Last game, we brought him out by trading on C3 effectively with our own pawn, right? And bringing the knight off of the back rank like that. Then we sacked a bishop to bring the C1 bishop out with tempo. One of the people in our chat, like a move ago, was saying, how about knight A3 for white, right? So I think right after A4, A6, they were suggesting knight A3.
That made sense.
And I think without this B2, B4 move, knight A3 to C2 would have been like a reasonable way to play this position. I think people do use that maneuver in the Italian game nowadays.
Yeah, for sure.
I like that a lot, actually, because he can hold D4 and then he can make us wonder about knight E3.
Yeah, he's not far from doing stuff there, right? But he's also helping to just control us.
I'm pretty sure they didn't see G5 coming. I think, yeah. G5's a rude awakening kind of move.
He can be. That would be surprising. I mean, these guys come from the Simon Williams School of Chess, so.
But the Simon Williams School of Chess just sees good moves for themselves.
Oh.
They don't see the good.
So funny. Yeah, I actually, I mean, when I saw B4, I kind of thought like, oh, they're so afraid of G5, they want to get that counterplay going as quickly as possible. But maybe you're right. Maybe they weren't anticipating it. I don't know how much experience they have with like these Italian game positions. Definitely took them a while to get here.
I mean, it's clear, like, it's hard. It was the same thing with the Evans decline positions. It's hard for White to come up with a plan other than some launching off with some B4 thing. But the Knight, man, Knight on B1 is killing him.
They like to avoid getting under 7 minutes on the clock, by the way. I watched part of their stream from last week, and that's the kind of magic number. They're like, let's not get under 7 minutes. So,
Nice.
you know, expect them to pick up the pace at some point.
Yeah, they're gonna come. Yeah, they're gonna come for us. We can't get overconfident. That's the only reason we lost last time. It was really bad news.
Yeah. So I think if we win this game, hopefully we do a rubber match, number 3. But
Right.
I think the next match should just be a team battle, just like our viewers versus their viewers.
Versus their viewers. That'd be fun.
And then maybe we could even, they can join in. We can all do commentary together.
Right.
Okay, guys,
So just put up the candidates for people. It's knight
E.
e5 and pawn takes e5, and I think we're all suggesting knight e5 so as not to get the knight stuck on c6.
Yeah, unless
Well,
you've literally had us muted this whole time, we're going to want knight takes e5 here.
DE. I don't understand what we do after bishop a3. Honestly, it's at least annoying.
Yeah.
So let's say the obvious on knight e5. If they don't have anything special, we just fixed our 2 worst pieces.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. Pretty simple and good, right?
And the knight on b1 still isn't in the game.
The only advantage of d5 would be to try and play g4, but at this point, like,
No.
d4 isn't even really to work on the pin anymore, right? Because they've already given up the d4 square. So there's like, you don't really need g4 particularly here.
Yeah, actually, we just want to open the G file, I think, with G4 now.
Right. So it no longer has anything to do with that pin, so there's no reason to leave a bad knight on c6. It doesn't like help us with anything we're doing. We just dodged out of the way of all those pawns on the queen side. Now they're looking sillier than last game when they trapped our pieces.
Yeah, D seems like a concession for sure. Now I feel much better about our position. I mean, I was already feeling okay, but now I just feel like, oh yeah.
And I think part of this DE was like to get out of, like, by trading the knight, they think they're getting out of the force of G4, but I don't actually think they are.
Right.
It's still a good move. It's
Like,
still a good
G4 can
move.
still come, but I think that was their rationalization.
I mean,
After
they should just trade here and then play bishop e3, right? They're just trying to weather the storm now for white.
Right, their knight on b1 is terrible. Let's ask this basic question.
Right.
If they take, do we want to take with the queen or the pawn? They both look good to me.
They do. They both look good.
I remember seeing a game in Chernev's logical chess move by move, where black took with the queen and just got like excellent play. Like bishop takes h3 was already threatened, queen g3
Oh,
check.
yeah, nice move, dude. Nice move.
But I think we'll see bishop e3 and
Okay,
that should be what we're
Leaning towards
expecting.
Queen e5, but let's put that up as a poll. So
Yeah,
DE
just let people pick here. I mean, I think both moves are
I
playable,
like-
so let's let our fans play.
that it gets our pieces. It's essentially like developing the queen.
Yeah.
And one cool thing is if queen e5, knight d2, then I'm pretty sure we're going to play g4.
You're not going to play queen takes c3, Jesse? There's like no pawn that could ever tempt you?
Knight d2, queen c, rook a3, and then maybe he's alive or something.
Okay.
But it's true. They have to worry about that. I think queen e5. Let's imagine queen e5, bishop e3 is probably the main variation.
Yep.
yeah, knight d2. I think we're taking on h3.
Well, then knight f3. And then knight f3, queen g3.
Queen
Yeah.
g3.
Okay, so we're going to say the main variation is queen e5, bishop e3, and then I'm assuming something like bishop takes, rook takes, and then maybe g4, but we have our options.
Yeah,
Right.
because I think positionally there we're doing very well as is.
Right. If we
Looks
play
like
G4
okay.
there, they'll play H4. So
Yeah, I think we have a nice game. The only small drawback is our king doesn't have like a permanent sense of home, but he doesn't need to at the moment. So let's think about it. Bishop E3, what are we going to do?
could we play G4 there without trading?
Oh, so that we can have like takes and G3, right?
To have G3 if they play H4.
It's a little risky, but it's not stupid.
I mean, the thing I want to do is just trade pieces and go knight H5 to F4. Okay, like I'm not all about just crazy attacks, but they've got knight H5 covered with their queen, which is really annoying.
And if we go bishop takes E3, rook E3, G4, H4, knight H5 there, then G3, yeah.
then G3, right?
It's kind of annoying.
Once we play G4, then they can play G3 and close things. The other plan I'm thinking of is like H5, H4, just to play knight H5.
The other thing, guys, is on bishop E3, if you play G4 immediately, we got to worry about bishop D4. And by the way, like once they trade off the bishops, then they can try to survive with queen D4, which is, I think, the main move they should be thinking about.
Yeah, I agree. When I was thinking my H5, H4 plan, I was thinking that white would answer with queen D4, and then I'm like, well, now maybe I'm too slow to achieve much.
All the endgames should be good for us because the knight is
Right.
terrible on B1.
Like, I can just leave the queen on E5, right? Play H5, H4, knight H5, let them trade on E5 if they want to.
Yeah.
That's comfortable for black, yeah.
Think of a knight on F4. Oh.
So I'm thinking something like bishop E3, bishop takes, rook takes, G4, H4, and then we've got several reasonable moves there. Even the lame-o bishop D7. But
Wait,
also,
why are we playing G4, though? Like, what's the advantage of that?
we don't have to.
We could
the
start with rook G8 first, so we can threaten G4, G3.
Yeah, that's on my candidate list.
But okay, let's say, okay, let's try it out. So one problem I want to say is that our bishop on C8 doesn't quite know what to go in those variations. And we will need a plan because I think his plan should be queen D4 followed by knight D2. Okay, there he goes, bishop E3. Now I really think bishop D4 is an earnest threat from him, actually.
Yeah, so, yeah, I forgot about it. So G4, bishop D4, if we take CD, and then white pushes E5 very quickly, I think that's just...
Right.
So,
Yes.
I don't...
Let's take it.
Yeah,
Let's take it and then think about our plan.
I don't see another move for us, so yeah. If there was a real choice, we would vote, but here I think we just want this. Okay, after rook E3, though, we have H5, we have rook G8. I think bishop E6 is actually possible.
And let me say, the thing I don't like about bishop E6 is then knight D2 is a thought.
Right.
And in general, knight D2 F3 is going to be... That's one of the reasons I want to play G4, is just to take away that square.
What if we just played bishop D7 as well? Because, like, it gives us the option of castling queenside or just connecting our rooks faster. They're going to have to spend a move defending the A4 pawn when the game's transitioning at some point. The bishop could come to C6 even, and like we could castle queenside because A5 and B5 aren't big threats from them here at the moment.
Yeah, bishop D7 to C6 is, I think, pretty interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not rushing to C6. I'm just saying once I get to D7, it's giving me all these options, right?
I was going to suggest B6, but bishop D5 is annoying. So we probably don't want that.
Bishop E6, bishop D5, C6. It's not like anything happened.
Oh, I meant B6, bishop D5.
Play B6.
Oh, right.
Yeah, I also don't like moving another pawn there. I mean, I just prefer bishop D7 strongly to that.
Okay, let's think of this. Let's just say this is a critical moment, though, because this is like, we have some big choices.
Right.
Yeah, if we're going to get like at least a small edge, it's probably here.
And he does have like this queen D4, knight D2. Those are simple moves for the guy to make.
Yeah. They'll play those quickly. So queen D4, we have knight H5, which is nice.
Oh, yeah. So maybe I'm more expecting them to play knight d2 to f3 here.
Wait,
But once they do, we'll move our queen where? If we go to f4, g3 traps us.
I'll tell you what, Kosta. Let me be devil's advocate, and you want bishop d7?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, queen d4.
Yeah, let's say knight h5.
g3.
Bishop takes h3.
I'm just worried about my pieces being a little hokey.
Yeah. I think the one thing we need to prepare for is knight d2 to f3.
Yeah, bishop d7, I'm not sure what we do on
because it'll
knight
threaten
d2.
e5, right? It'll break our blockade.
Yeah.
In that last position, too, I was worried about f4 at the very end. But I'm not sure about it. Actually, I take it back. I'm not worried about f4. Right, so he has two plans that are going to be reasonable almost against everything we do, which is queen d4 and knight d2.
So we need a prophylactic here.
And let's just say the obvious. His king is a little bit better than ours. Let me try rook g8. What do you guys want to do after rook g8?
So if knight d2, we're saying g4,
G4.
h4, g3.
That's the intention, yeah.
Then he's taking once. We take with the rook. He plays knight f3. The queen can go to f4.
Yeah.
And we've got a lot of decent moves coming, like bishop or knight to g4.
Yeah,
Now,
that looks
So I
good.
think on rook g8, though, what about queen d4? And then what do we do?
Knight h5.
Good. And you know what's actually else good about rook g8 in that variation is that there's a lot of variations where my queen might want to move, but it's pinned to the rook on h8.
Yeah.
So that gives us that flexibility.
Yeah, it can go queen e7 if we need.
I'm okay. So at the moment, why don't you guys play devil's advocate? I'll play rook g8.
So if rook g8 was a problem, it would be because I also feel like they don't want to play queen d4.
It's a good move though because we never want to take it, so the tension's on their side.
See, they're gonna want to be able to meet g4, g3, but they can't play g3, and there's no way to prepare it.
Well, but okay, let's say rook g8, queen d4.
Yeah,
Knight h5.
knight h5.
We switch to that.
Knight d2.
Knight f4.
Knight f3. That looks okay for white.
Maybe okay, but pretty good for us too, no?
I think there we can maybe take on d4, c takes d4, and go bishop e6.
You could also play knight takes d4 in that final position too. And let's just say the obvious problem for us is that we don't know where to put our bishop or our king. Right? That's the kind of weird thing, positional problem that we have.
And that endgame kind of feels like king f8, just bishop d7, king f8, rook e8. Maybe we castle as long as like f7 isn't hanging.
Well, we've played rook g8, I think, so should play king f8.
Oh, I mean, I meant castle's queenside.
Oh, okay, yeah, sure. Yeah, I mean, I don't mind any of those queen d4 positions. I'm only really worried about knight f3.
Yeah,
But
knight
after-
f3 and e5, yeah.
After rook g8 though, knight d2, g4 looks, that's hard to meet.
Yeah, it's nice that this covers against it.
All right, I'm going to vote for rook g8.
So rook g8 and bishop d7, that's our poll?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I guess g4
I mean, if you guys want to use some of our time, Jesse, if you think this is a critical moment, we could also analyze bishop d7 a little, because we just analyzed rook g8 a bit, but
Okay,
not
so
really the
bishop
other one.
d7, knight d2.
Knight d2. And then how do we stop knight f3?
Right.
Well, okay, we could go, it's kind of slow, but we could go g4, h4. This wouldn't work with the bishop on d7, but I would love to transfer the knight to e5 with the pawn on g4. So maybe like an immediate g4, h4, queen h5 or something, g3, and then knight d7.
That's okay. And let me just say the obvious. It's a beautiful thing for them that their rook is on e3 covering the third rank.
Yeah. c3, g3.
That's why I was thinking of leaving the bishop on b6 and taking the horrible structure, but then with bishop d4 for white, that wasn't
Right.
a good option.
All right, let's vote. Rook g8, bishop d7,
Okay.
e4.
Do it. Seems like rook g8 is the answer. I mean, to me, it's very important not to get my pawn stuck on light squares here. I don't want to play g4, h4, and then just be stuck. I only want to play g4, g3.
I do think if we got that knight to e5, that's just like fantastic. But I'm not sure.
I think
kinda
it's
slow.
fine, but it doesn't like delight me like the positions where I've played g3 do.
That's fair enough.
I really prefer having g2 as a target. You know, having a knight on f4. All right, we're doing it. Well, I guess we didn't look at the move queen b3 for white here.
I just noticed queen b3, yeah.
That probably just makes our attacks even stronger on the other side.
Queen is just farther away. Yeah, we'll go rook g7. Like,
go rook g7 and then
whatever.
keep playing from there.
Although it would be really nice to get queen e7, knight d7 in, but okay, I also like knight h5, knight f4.
Yeah, right, which queen b3 kind of allows. So like queen b3, rook g7, knight d2. If we're not as sure about g4, g3 because our rook is used in two ways, we could play knight h5 there. Maybe. Knight f3 is still annoying though. Okay.
Queen b3, maybe bishop e6, knight d2, and then we just sit on it. Or maybe g4 in that position.
It's funny. So, Kosta, you have a read on these guys that they're not going to play queen d4, but let's consider, because to me it's the obvious move for white. So queen d4. I think white's a little bit better after queen d4. That's what I'm going to say. At least, yeah.
So we play knight h5. What's white's advantage?
Yeah, I honestly don't feel it at all.
Okay, so queen d4, knight h5, knight d2. Then what? Knight f4 is what you guys want?
We could also play g4 there, right?
Absolutely.
But let me just say, I'm worried about a lot when it opens up, because now our bishop on c8 and rook a8 are out, and he's actually better developed. That's a concern.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think white has the small edge after queen d4. I don't know how it happened, but I think it's a little bit better. And I think we are going to need to play. We're going to be forced to play g4 at some point too, because of rook f3. You know.
Yeah.
In fact, even queen d4, knight h5, rook f3 there is kind of weird looking, but maybe a thought.
And then rook g7.
You know, knight d2 still. He can do. I'm just saying, he can throw in that rook f3 whenever he wants when we got that knight over there. And then on knight f4, he can think about g3.
But instead of rook g7, is knight f4 possible? Or
and then you got to at least calculate g3, and I'm not sure what's going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm really skeptical about g3. Not 100% sure, but like we go rook g7.
Okay, but let me just Since we're a little bit at odds in this interesting debate, why isn't white better after queen d4, knight h5, knight d2? I'm just seeing better development.
Well, okay, so g4 there.
Okay, right. H4.
G3.
Oh, he did do it.
Wow.
Okay.
Look at these guys digging deep.
I don't think they had any
They've got
choice.
multiple styles.
They didn't have any choice. Queen d4 was like, okay, besides knight h5, is there another move? I guess bishop d7 is a move.
Yeah, we could just go bishop d7.
But we still are going to have to reckon with knight d2.
Yeah.
What happens if we play g4 right now?
Okay, h4.
Then, so g3 is just rook takes g3, right?
No, because then we can trade and take the e4 pawn at the end.
Interesting. Yeah.
If you go g4, h4,
yeah.
g3 here, they have to take with the f pawn and leave the rooks on the board.
What about f4 exclam?
Queen takes f4.
Rook f3?
Queen takes h4.
Okay. Bishop takes f7 or some weird. I don't know what's. No, that wouldn't work. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, you can't just say exclam in front of your moves, Jesse.
I'm just telling you, that's what that f4 move scared the bejesus.
It definitely is a surprising move, though.
Okay, so if we go g4, they go h4. We go g3, they play f takes g3. Then what's next for us? Why are we doing that?
And knight f3 is still coming.
We're down a pawn. I don't see the point of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So then
So
we
I
don't
think
want to play g4, h4 if we're not going to play g3, because then white just goes g3. It kind of kills our play.
Right. So I think our moves here are like bishop d7 and knight h5. And by the way bishop d7 could work is that on bishop d7, if they go knight d2, we could probably play bishop c6 there.
Mm-hmm.
And the plan is if they go knight f3, we trade queens and grab the pawn and oh no, but if knight d4, then we can't grab it.
But then our structure's not so bad. So
Right.
I think we just go bishop d7 there. And e5. Yeah.
He's a little bit better in that position for sure, though, with like a knight f5 or something.
I mean, not if we can trade on f5, I feel. But
Okay, let me ask you guys, your first intuition was this, and you guys believed it, so maybe it's true. So you said knight h5, knight d2, knight f4 was your first intuition. And to me, it feels a little bit like we're playing with our pretty pieces, but yeah, because I don't really know what the knight on f4 does.
Yeah.
just control squares.
But the knight on f6 also controls squares.
Yeah, less active squares. Although I still don't know. I'm still okay with knight h5, knight d2, g4.
Yeah.
That one's interesting, yeah.
Okay, I'll put the poll up because we don't want to
Yeah.
burn too
Knight
much
h5 and
time.
bishop d7, right?
Yeah.
I think either one should be fine at this point. I don't feel like one is really necessary or not. I will say that I noticed that if we play bishop d7, knight d2, castles queenside, white can play queen a7 and not trade queens suddenly. So we definitely have to reckon with that.
Yeah, this is a tough position all of a sudden. I'm thinking, by the way, that like knight h5, knight d2, g4, he can just play hg, intending knight f3 on the next move, no matter how we take back. I'm wondering now if we needed to play g4 first. Oh, man. The good news is if we play bishop d7, we did knight h5. Oh, man. Okay,
Yeah,
let's
yeah.
start thinking.
Paul was over. I mean, I think knight f4 is also fine instead of g4.
Okay, let's try that because that was your first intuition. So knight d2, knight f4, and then let's play knight f3.
Mm-hmm. We're gonna trade queens there, I believe.
And I don't know which way exactly you should take back, but let's say with a knight.
Okay. And then we play like.
Then I want to go knight g6 and knight e5.
It's a lot of knight moves.
I want that on e5.
E7 or something.
Bishop d7 makes. I mean, if they're gonna go knight f5, then you know
Right, they're going to go knight f5, yeah.
Are they? Okay.
But I would be more worried about them just pushing e5 actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I can just trade it, right, and then go king f8.
Yeah. And then, but then I think we're kind of trying to equalize a little bit because the rook on g8 to me feels very difficult.
Well, I mean,
definitely-
we still just want to play g4, g3. We also maybe want to play just rook e8, trade a rook.
And I just want to express a little bit of regret. I feel like when we play queen e5, I didn't appreciate that. I didn't see the queen d4 coming as clearly as this is now happening. And so I feel a little bit of regret about queen e5 and I definitely feel like white's a little bit better. I hate to say it, but I definitely feel like knight d2 were a little worse. Maybe the way to play it is knight d2, bishop d7, and if knight f3, we take and castle long.
Yeah. But
And-
you have to worry about bishop takes f7.
Oh, shoot, yeah, jeez. Or maybe king f8, that was something Kostya mentioned earlier.
Yep. Yeah, let's just put our bishop on d7, king on f8, rook on e8.
Oh, d takes e5 is Ginger GM rule of thumb. Unbelievable.
What's that?
Tom says d takes e5 is the Ginger GM rule of thumb.
That's funny. I feel like we're playing Ginger GM light too here, so they're upset that we play queen takes e5.
In Black Lion, whatever that is.
Dude, so this Black Lion thing, I've got a student. Actually, the student that's going to be playing at 6 o'clock. I'm going to stream his game. He will probably play a lion today, and it's all because of Ginger GM's fault. What they do is,
So you know what this thing is?
yeah, he's rebranded the Philidor as the lion, and in fact, it's exactly what we're doing here. He wants to play the Philidor and then launch out with h6 g5. That's why it's no longer the Philidor but the lion.
The Philidor, gotcha. The Philidor is sort of playable, but I think Sam said that every opening that's named after an animal is bad, right? Wasn't that Sam?
That was a great quote, and I was thinking about it. It's mostly true, and I took exception to the hedgehog because the hedgehog is a great structure.
Yeah, the hedgehog is for real.
Yeah.
All right. I'm not loving playing the move g4. I feel like it's like spending energy damaging our own structure a little bit. So I'm less in love with it than I used to be. I'm kind of on the page if I want to play bishop d7, king f8, rook e8, get all our boys in line.
Right, and maybe knight h5. In which case, knight h5 maybe is what's incorrect.
I'm still on team knight g6, knight e5.
Okay.
Just gonna keep throwing.
Just
One
keep
nice
moving
thing
the
here
pretty
is
knight.
we have a worst case scenario of a slightly worse endgame, right? I mean, that's what our worst case scenario is.
Yeah, no, I think we'll flag them in this slightly worse endgame.
We're never going to flag them. You forget the mode they have.
They're hitting that 7-point mark, so here comes the beast mode.
7-minute mark.
I mean, what else are you going to do besides knight d2? What are they? Oh, they're thinking about rook f3. Okay. So I guess bishop d7 is our main move.
I was thinking it's knight f4.
Okay, well, let's put those up. Knight f4, bishop b7.
So bishop d7, knight f3. Oh, we're
I mean,
exchanging,
g4
right?
was also a move. I mean, I'm not pumped about it, but
But we didn't
we're
figure
letting
out
the
what to
fans
do
pick.
against hg, bishop g4, knight f3.
right.
That looked very uncomfortable, actually.
I mean, we would have to queen trade right there, not trade on f3, queen trade, and then play from there.
But if we're gonna trade queens, then I'm all for just getting the development going and waiting for g4 for later.
Okay.
But you want to play knight f4 first, right?
Oh, Sunny has a good point. If bishop d7, queen takes e5, de, knight f3.
Mm-hmm.
Holy moly.
So yeah, let's vote for knight f4, guys.
All right.
So we can defend this pawn with knight g6.
Ugh. Horror.
I didn't notice that at all. That was really important.
Yeah, we all just kind of, we just assume like f6 and position's great, but
Yeah, I mean, we could have gone deeper. We got rook g7 is a good candidate move here as well.
Dude, we're a little worse. We're a little worse. Because even now, we have in that position with knight g6, which is so painful, they can just start putting rooks on the d file if nothing else. All right, but here's the good news. The good news is we're better than these guys.
Jesse, that's what lost us last week.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
There's no such thing. They're 1-0 against us.
That's true. Okay, so I'm for them, knight f3, queen d4, and either knight takes or pawn takes, definitely better for white. Not winning or anything, but better.
yeah, I feel like it's, if anything, it's like a playable worse. Like if I have this in an open tournament against a lower rated player, I'm still feeling optimistic, like against the average 2100.
Right.
I'll find a way. I'll get good knight versus bad bishop, or just like normal knight versus bishop, and just put all the pawns on dark squares.
All right, let's take that queen.
Yeah, queen d4. Yeah, no real choice because otherwise e5 is coming.
Otherwise,
and
e5 will be pretty strong.
we'll be,
Anybody wondering if we retreated our queen here?
be upset.
I think this is an interesting moment. I definitely feel like they should take with the knight, but aesthetically, the people who believe in pawns will want to take with the pawn.
I mean, it gives them, the c file against the c7 pawn. It's not completely without reason, right? It makes their center very strong.
It's not ridiculous at all.
I think if they take with the pawn, bishop e6 makes a lot of sense. So if they take, then we would also take with the pawn.
And you want to put your king on d7. That's
Yeah,
what you're thinking.
absolutely.
Goes to coordinate your rooks.
Of course, yeah.
Okay. And by the way, let's just say something obvious. It's growing on me, the bishop e6. I think that was a mistake, by the way. I think they should have taken with a knight.
Interesting.
And one nice thing about that endgame you just noted was we created a situation where our king was working and theirs wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
Bishop e6 is really growing on me, yeah.
Should we also put up bishop d7?
Yeah, we should make some alternative moves.
Bishop e6 is strong. It seems anti-intuitive because after rook c1 it feels like they're activating, but the truth is that our king on d7 will stop any of their business.
And if they go d5, bishop d7, e5,
We're just going to play like king f8.
just king f8, and yeah, they've created some problems for themselves.
That's maybe playable for them too, because the knight at least gets the d4 square.
Mm-hmm.
They can also push e6. I mean, there's definitely stuff that can happen. It's interesting.
I guess we'll find out.
But also in those positions, our king is working and theirs isn't.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna vote one. So let's figure it out. Bishop e6. Let me try to play for white. You guys can play for black. So
Okay.
bishop e6, d5, bishop d7, e5.
Mm-hmm.
King f8.
Honestly, you could just take. Oh no, you don't want to take it. King f8, e6.
Take bishop c6.
e7 check and takes the rook on
Oh,
g8.
whoa.
How about bishop e6, d5, bishop d7, e5, and we castle queenside?
Interesting.
Yeah, I like that more. So takes rook e7. We just go like.
We could also, instead of castling queenside, we could just play. I see. What about just king f8?
e6.
Bishop
But then
E-
you have to not trade, right?
Bishop e8, yeah.
Bishop e8.
We're going to claim that the pawn on e7 isn't so special.
Then they go knight d4 with the idea of knight f5 and then e7.
So shit, man.
Yeah, that's no good. You know, I like this castles move, or even like king d8. No, castles because of e6.
All right, let's just say the obvious. We're going to have to calculate, and they don't have time to calculate.
Well, they're
They're
over
just
their 7 minutes.
they're making their instant moves now. d5, e5, e6 probably coming.
All right, so let's go through it again. So d5, bishop d7, e5, and then we're going to have several choices. It looks like de is out because the knight d5 is too strong. So king f8 and castle's long. Man, on
The
castle's
other
long.
move would be king to e7. King to e7.
Oh man,
Yeah, that's a move too.
now you're getting spicy.
Because I want to play rook a to e8 and just have my king come to like d6 or whatever. And if they ever play e6 with my king on e7, the pawn's blockaded. So I play fe, d takes e, bishop c6.
That might be a good one, yeah.
Then knight d4 in that position.
Yeah, it's messy. I'll take on g2 maybe. And then knight f5, king f6.
Can also go like rook f8. One of
I
the
could
rooks.
also just play rook f8, let you take on c6.
Sunny KK has a nice thought. Whew, it's getting spicy.
Yeah, d5, which might lose, but it seems cool. Yeah, famous last words.
Yeah.
They're gonna do d5 and e5. That's who they are.
Yeah,
there it
of
is.
course.
All right, bishop
All right,
d7.
bishop d7.
And then we should pause for a moment. We should definitely start calculating after e5.
Yeah.
Yeah, everybody think about how you want to answer e5 between king f8, king e7, king d8, castles queenside.
King d8. Oh, king d8. The e6 thing is really a hassle in the castle.
Yeah.
Okay, let me just say e5, king e7, e6,
Yeah. I take.
and then so you're saying takes bishop c6.
Yeah.
Right, knight d4, and you're not that worried about it. You might even take on g2.
I'm hoping to just take on g2.
Oh man. Whoa.
If we castle here, they go e6. We take. We go bishop c6. What was the problem there? Was it e7?
I think the problem to me on castles is, aren't we just worse after ed, cd, rook e7?
I don't think that we are. I feel like their bishop is now so bad that we just slowly get out of that.
So like rook f8, and then we just get out.
Maybe rook f8, rook e8. I think we have maybe even just rook e8 immediately. Like-
Okay, yeah, it's growing on me.
Just like possible, yeah.
So, all right, so then we're going to say on castles long, the issue might be e6, takes, bishop c6, and then either knight
7
d4.
hitting 2 rooks.
Yeah, e7 is kind of a problem.
Why does it hit? Oh, it hits 2 rooks. Yeah, there you go. That's actually just a simple issue.
So we can't.
All right, so there it is. Then castles e6. If bishop e8, then we have to assume that knight d4 is better for white.
Or just e7 already looks really ugly.
All right, let's go back. Let me be devil's advocate and play Proust's Maniac king e7.
Okay.
What would white do after king e7? Because on knight d4, then I play ed and king d6, and I laugh him out of town.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I'm hoping to do, yeah.
So king 7, e6.
Okay, so takes,
Takes.
bishop c6,
Knight d4.
and if I don't want to take on g2, I have rook gf8, which is a simple move.
Yeah.
Yeah. We
Or
also have the
rook-
move d5 there is a playable move.
Rook af8 or d5. Yeah. No, I think
fact-
king e7 might be. Okay, actually, there is Banyas pointing out king d8, e6, takes d5.
I don't like it, man.
They have the move like rook d1 in that position.
Yeah. It scares the bejesus out of me.
They also have the move. No, they don't.
Rook d1, we go bishop
Rook
takes
D1 really
e6.
scares me.
Right? Bishop takes e6?
I don't know, man.
Oh yeah, I mean it looks scary, but we have a few minutes. I feel like this is a pretty critical moment.
Yeah.
I do like king e7 though, I mean the more I look at it. Because it was only this e6 line that was bothering us.
Right. King e7, if it works, we really should do it.
Yeah. It makes a lot of, it's very principled, and it's not like, it's not a concession.
Yeah, let's spend 1 minute trying to debunk king e7, right?
Yeah, that's a good idea.
So let me try king e7. It's a weird position, man. So the point, our major claim here now has to be that our king is much better and their bishop is terrible on c4 now, right? So the positional factors are now all for us.
I mean, we're trying to get our king out of the way of our rooks, right? If we can coordinate our rooks, then positionally we're solid.
The other cool thing actually to note is that, well, I don't know how cool of a thing it is. Anyways, our king is the blockader of the pawn, which is nice.
That is what I'm hoping for in that e6 line, yeah.
Can we make sure that we're okay actually after king e7 takes, king takes, knight e5?
Okay, so we at least have bishop e8 as a worst case scenario.
Yeah, followed by f6.
Right, but maybe okay. But let me try to play it for white. So king e7, ed, knight e5. We don't have to play bishop e8. We could play a rook to f8.
That's true.
And the only scary thing might be like a bishop b3 intending knight c4 kind of thing.
Yeah, for sure.
Then we might have to play the move b5 ourselves.
Which might be a great move, honestly. Control the knight, yeah. In fact, let's just say that the move b5 becomes actually kind of an interesting thing all of itself in all these variations now.
But b5, ab, we have to take with the bishop?
Well, it depends what position we're taking with, but I think...
Yeah, it depends if we've played bishop e8 or rook g or a.
Oh, I was thinking with rook f8, yeah.
Rook g to f8 or?
Rook g f8, yeah. But rook a f8 makes... feels weird.
Want to play rook at gf8.
Yeah.
I don't see any problem with king e7, guys.
Okay.
Yeah, same.
All
I'll
right,
put it
let's let people
between
vote.
king
Put a lot of
e7 and king
e7, king
d8.
f8, and what else is there? King
f8, we were just getting hosed with like e6.
Yeah, I think we just lose to e6 pretty much. I think those moves lose, but we're letting people vote.
King f8 e6 also looks really bad.
Yep.
So
king e7 might be a real exclam. At the very least, it puts the guy. Oh wait, let me do one more thing. Before you put it. How about king e7 takes on d6, king takes d6, knight d2.
Uh-huh.
Do we have to play f5?
go bishop f5.
Or bishop f5. Okay, I'm not worried about knight d2. Bishop f5 is nicer because then if he moves the bishop on c4, we can put our king on d7. Well, even there it's kind of tricky, but...
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna start the poll.
Yeah.
Threw a little bit of bias in there, a little bit. Make sure if you guys vote for king e7 that you put the exclamation, otherwise it won't count the vote.
Oh, so my king e7 didn't count?
I think it didn't. Yeah.
I'll make sure I voted. You're trying to bias in favor of it, but then make it impossible for anyone to type it correctly.
Okay, that was our second longest thing so far. We spent almost 8 minutes on rook g8.
Yeah.
Another 7 minutes on king e7, but I think that's fair. I mean, these are really critical moves.
Long thing, wrong thing. The rook g8 move might have been our worst move of the game so far.
Yeah,
All
maybe
the
it
other
was
moves
just
I'm pretty happy with.
It was just not in time. Yeah, that's a shame. I mean, we could have taken with the pawn on e5 this whole time. We would have been extremely comfortable, I think.
Poll is closed. All right, this is fun. This is where they need some time, man, because they need to start hurting us now, or else we're just going to be better.
They have a big choice here. I imagine they spend some time choosing between these moves.
And
I think they'll just bash out the correct move in 45 seconds.
I think if it's our move now, we should play b5. I like that move a lot.
Yeah, it opens up the rook on the a file. We get this counterplay.
Oh yeah, you'd want to aggressively do it. What I love about it is it might also trade a rook, which would be so nice for us.
Right. Any trades basically are good for our king.
Other than knight trades.
Great Helm is asking ed6, king d6, knight d4, and then what? Exactly, but the question is for white. What's their strategy?
Yeah. They're stopping b5, but we just put a rook on e8 and we're looking pretty nice.
Yeah. I don't think we'll see... I think we might see knight e5 in that position because that superficially does look... I mean, there could be something there. I just don't see it yet. E6 also looks extremely critical. But e6, I don't see a move out. Takes, bishop c6, knight d4, and then like rook gf8 or rook af8. Maybe, to me, rook af8 there makes more sense because we might want to still play g4. And g2 is still hanging, so they're not in time to play like b5 or something.
Yeah, this is a really spicy position.
If knight e5 in that position, I think we were thinking rook f8, rook gf8, but bishop e8 also seems passive, but like f6 is coming, so it's white who's like taken some positional liberties, like his pawns are a little bit extended, so like we have some upside there. It's not just like a passive position for nothing.
Now, I should tell our viewers, Proust is famous for ballsy moves, and a lot of times they don't work out, but king e7, I like it a lot. Yeah, that's a pure balls move, too, because dude needs to figure something out right now.
Yeah, king e7. That's a great fight.
All right, we're taking it, right? We're taking
it. That doesn't worry me at all. So let's play fe.
Yeah, this was our plan.
And one reason this doesn't worry me is just like we have so many options, both here and after bishop c6.
Right.
I mean, honestly, we could think about bishop e8 for a bit.
Bishop e8 as well as bishop c6. So
to put the bishop on g6 in response to knight d4.
The other thing about bishop c6 is maybe he could start trying to juice us on the c file somehow. But bishop c6 is the principled move. Let's not...
Yeah, I mean, if we get a chance to take on f3, we probably snap take.
Yeah. The only problem with bishop c6 is knight d4. That's what we got to be like sure about.
All right, let me try to just do my intuition here. I think bishop c6, knight d4, rook a f8.
Knight takes c6, check.
bc.
Bishop a6.
That's a pawn. Rook f6.
We can get our pawn back. I'm just worried about the a pawn, right? Bishop b7, or sorry, a5 first.
I have something kind of...
Yeah, good point.
Like that knight f5 thing isn't really a real thing. We just play king f6.
Then they play knight takes h6, hitting our rook, and then
maybe it's a real thing.
Then they've got knight g4 check. They've got e7.
Okay, true. So bishop c6, knight d4.
Is bishop a4 possible?
Right now?
That would be a cruel move.
Snap it. Because we still have rook f8 on knight d4.
Wow, dude, bishop a4. That's a strong...
No, I don't believe this. Bishop a4, knight d4. Which rook do you move to f8?
Rook gf8 here.
Right, now rook a4.
Yeah, b5.
I take it with my, I don't know, either piece. No. Either way, I'm going to be up at least a pawn for white, right?
Okay, let me try again though. Bishop a4, knight d4, bishop b5.
Wow, bishop b5. So bishop takes b5, ab, rook a8, rook a8, knight f5 check,
King.
and then knight takes h6.
And then he's not threatening a rook.
You guys are looking down the wrong direction. With b5, you trap your own rook on your own bishop on a4. Like, he's done. He's out of the game. You give white the c6 square for their knight, and you're just asking to lose.
No, he was saying bishop b5.
Oh, bishop b5, not pawn b5.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
But I'm not liking bishop a4. It feels
Still terrible.
Feels wrong.
Oh man, I was like, we were gonna play the balls of king e7. Might as well play the balls of bishop.
No. I'd looked at bishop a4 several moves ago, Jesse, but it's just the wrong feeling.
Yeah. So then bishop
Okay,
c6, knight d4. We haven't really.
So how
solved.
about the move d5 in that position? That's what I want to know about.
In which position?
Bishop c6, knight d4.
Yeah. Like, I want to know if we can play bishop takes g2 or pawn to d5 there or something concrete.
Bishop takes g2. I couldn't figure out what to do after knight f5, king moves knight h6.
Okay.
But maybe actually just bishop h3 there, cutting off the king's retreat.
Mm-hmm. And then they win in exchange.
I don't know.
Right? So what about rook h8 in that position?
Knight g4 check.
King back to e7.
Holy moly.
I got him blockaded and h3 looks really dead.
Interesting.
That's
yeah.
true. Knight on g4 is really bad.
So in that variation, we're trying to basically going after his king.
I mean, it's a mix of so many factors, I guess.
Is there something really
winning
ugly
that pawn
about
on g2 is a big deal, yeah.
Is there something we don't like about bishop e8, bishop g6? That kind of feels like it really slows down his play.
Yeah, there's nothing bad about it. It's only if bishop c6 is better, basically.
Bishop c6 is the move to knock him out.
And bishop c6 is killer unless knight d4 is a problem.
Yeah. I like your line, though, that you said bishop g2, knight f5, king f6, knight takes h6, rook h8, knight g4, king e7.
Okay, so how about this? Bishop c6, knight d4, bishop g2, knight f5, king to f6, e7.
d5.
d5, that's our move. That's our move.
Yeah, it's always important we have that guy in reserve.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The
that was
intention of
important to
bishop
see.
c6 is, yeah.
But then they go knight h6 there.
And I move the rook to like h. Oh, I see. Then you want to play. But still, I play rook h8, knight g4, king f7.
Wait, hang on. I don't need to play knight g4 because you're not threatening my knight.
I am threatening your bishop, though.
I play bishop to f1, maybe.
And bishop takes f1.
And then king takes f1. I guess.
Rook e8, and then knight g4.
True. Once you got that blockaded, you're in good shape.
Yeah.
We could have just played rook e8 without rook h8 also.
I believe in bishop c6, guys. Let's do it.
Okay, I'll start the poll.
Start the poll. Bishop
I like
e8.
bishop e8. I think
Okay.
we
Bishop-
don't give him a sharp position.
I do. I want to say bishop c6 is the move to knock him out, and like most moves to knock him out, it entails a little bit more risk.
Mm-hmm. Oh, man. Tough call.
Remember last time we wanted to knock them out, we castled queenside.
But it might be time. Maybe we can do it.
What I love about this position is I feel like, especially if our king is not a victim but actually a hero, we're taking him out. And once that d5 move comes, then we've ended the bishop on c4 as well. Like getting that d5 move at some point is massive.
Yeah, d5 is huge.
That was the biggest motivation for bishop e8 is that d5 will come, and d5 will come in that position too.
Yeah, to me, it feels more practical.
Oh,
and that's what our fans. That's what our vote went to.
Oh man.
I don't know, guys. I think we. I'm not gonna say we dodged a bullet, but I just feel like bishop c6. They have to play knight d4.
We dodged the possibility of guns being involved, right?
Yeah, let's just try to take them down with our technique, you know?
You just want to play c6 and d5, right? And
Yeah,
just slow it
comfortable.
down.
Put the king on d6, rook a8.
Slow it down. The king's just got to get to d6, guys. It's true.
They want, you know, this like slugfest, not like they want to throw that one punch. We just want to like flag them, time them out.
There's a lot to recommend bishop e8. Just because it does feel like I think at some point the guy needs to organize g3 to kick our knight.
Yeah, with king h2 here is probably the best move.
So maybe knight d4, bishop g6, and the bummer there is then our knight can't go back to g6.
Well, I don't know that they even want to throw in knight d4. I mean, maybe just king h2 here.
But then if they kick us with g3, our knight gets to go to g6.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think
if
at this point,
then knight d4 and we can't cover knight f5.
I think at this point we maybe just we're okay with going back to f6 because we still want d5.
Yeah.
If they play king h2, you want to play d5 already, Kostya?
That would make a lot of sense to me just immediately.
Yeah.
Or maybe bishop a4 is still a thought. But okay, we should have just done it. Yeah, that doesn't make sense. Knight d4.
Yeah, this is great because if they don't mate us, dude, oh, there comes knight d4. So we're saying rook f8's a thought, but we want bishop g6, right?
Yeah, I think we want bishop g6.
All right, let's do bishop g6. Connect the rooks, put that bishop on a nice square.
Yeah. Now, did we calculate g3 yet at all? We can take with check and then play g4.
The nice thing about g3 is both moves look very reasonable. Knight h5 and
Okay.
and also on g3 we could think about d5 because gf hits the rook.
Yeah, d5, bishop h7.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like the idea of king h2, rook a to f8, right?
Mm-hmm. Just mobilizing.
Yeah.
Mobilizing stuff, getting ready to play rook f6, right? And the f2 pawn is just being looked at.
Is there any position where we would want to play c5?
Maybe. I mean, just in general, if once we stop the counterplay, we're going to murder the guy with our extra pawns on the queen side.
Right. So
Yeah,
I think
d5
I just want to
definitely.
play c6 and be really solid and wrap up that e6 pawn.
Yeah, I don't know
Before
why.
I start pushing.
And I want to say to the materialists, we're not in a hurry to take that e6 pawn. We could leave that there for a long time. That thing is just a burden for white.
Right.
Honestly, think about it. He would rather be rid of that pawn right now.
100%.
Yeah.
Well, only if we weren't allowed to play king d7. If you took the pawn off the board, oh, well, then our rook would be hanging. Yeah, we would be dead.
Yeah, the pawn's a liability for the guy. As long as he can't create any weird ways to scuttle our blockade, we're golden. Our king is so much better than his king. So much better.
Yeah.
And our queenside pawns are like evil. Those are some evil pawns, bro.
Yeah.
King h2, there it is.
King h2.
Okay, so we've got rook gf8.
We've got either rook to f8 or we've got the move c6,
Doing
which is the other move
d5.
I'd love to play.
d5 can't be a bad move.
Yeah, is there an advantage of c6 over d5?
C6 is just, yeah, it's still more flexible. We're not giving them knight b3 to c5. We're not. Because if you play d5 and they play bishop b3, okay, they're threatening g3, right? You sort of still have to play c6 or something. So you have to plan on that. You're kind of committed.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't think it's like a big problem, but I don't necessarily feel the rush to play d5.
I like rook gf8 a lot.
I like rook g, yeah, because we're not really playing g4 anymore. I like keeping a rook on the a file so that I'm not as worried about a5 and b5 and stuff. I really like rook g to f8 somehow.
Okay, well, I will put up the 4 moves that we have.
Yeah.
We'll figure it out. So we have 2 rooks that can go to f8. C6. I honestly don't see a move in this list that I wouldn't like.
Right.
To be
like
honest,
a real problem for us.
Yeah. So I understand rook gf8 over rook af8, although I feel like rook af8 also is okay. I mean, I don't know. Yeah, okay, rook gf8 I think probably is better in the long run. I think I'll vote for that.
Yeah. All right. So that's the first move is rook g, right?
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna vote for that too. I'm just liking that. I don't like having the rook on the diagonal, that bishop on c4. It's kind of like we're fixing the worst move we've played this game. Is my first instinct is that like the only move I really don't like that we played this game is probably rook g8.
And that was our longest thing.
We analyze.
Funnily enough.
Can't be sure at this point, but it's the one move I'm not feeling good about. So I just love this move. You know, it gives us rook f6. It's another piece stopping knight f5.
Yeah.
Okay, so now I'm probably gonna be starting to reduce the poll time. So it's been like 45 seconds to a minute, but now I think we're just gonna have the poll up for like 30 seconds.
If they play g3, we're just playing knight h5. We don't need to think about it so much, do we?
Right.
Yeah, because d5 bishop moves away, and then we have a problem. So I mean, not really.
We do have earnest questions about, like, let's imagine g3, knight h5, king g2. What then?
I think knight f6.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Or pawn to
c6.
c6.
Yeah, I think c6 there is still good.
I want my pawn on c6.
The nice thing about knight f6 is then he has to start wondering about knight e4 and stuff. And,
Yeah, c6, d5, knight e4, f2 is hanging.
yeah.
Knight comes back to d6. That's really been the plan the whole time. c6, d5, and bringing the knight to d6.
I also like, rook on f6, knight on g7. But let's
All
just
right, knight h5. Let's go
on this one.
All right.
I mean, there is a setup, right, with rook f6, knight g7.
Okay, let's do a quick poll with c6 and knight f6. Does that sound good?
Picks are a bad piece, but okay, go ahead. I really want to fix that knight.
But you don't like rook f6, knight g7 as well?
No, I don't want to win that pawn. I'm not interested in that pawn at all.
I'm just trying to go knight f5 and trade a piece, Jesse.
But knight f6, we're bringing him in, and then he has to worry about d5. He has to worry about.
I believe you. You know this
knight
stuff.
e4.
I think both are good, but I don't know. I think gun to my head, I play knight f6. I always believe in like improving the pieces first, but c6 I think is absolutely fine.
Okay. The one thing I don't want to allow white to do is play like f4, f5. I imagine you guys are not. Yeah, white doesn't really have a good chance to do that here. The king would come under such an attack immediately. GF, bishop e4, rook g8 and stuff.
Yeah.
We'd be good. With that like e4 square, woo!
But I think that's exactly how they're probably thinking.
That e4 square is going to be amazing for us in any case, right? Because it's hard for them. They're going to sit there with a pawn on f3, I guess. Ooh.
Mm-hmm.
So f4, we play takes or d5?
Either or bishop e4 right away. I mean,
Yeah, I think you trade once and then play bishop e4.
And then d5, rook
Although bishop
g8.
e4 and then trading is exactly the same. I don't really see any noticeable alternative. And then their king moves, and then maybe rook g8 there, right?
Okay, rook a e1.
Brought another piece.
So d5 makes a lot of sense here to me.
Yeah. There's c6, but I don't know. Other than this two,
Yeah, let's play d5.
I think d5 is better.
And what are we doing next? Let's just keep thinking. D5, bishop b3 or something.
Well, I think in
C6.
long term, we want to any trades. We're going to say any trades are good.
Right.
We want to put something on e4. And
Right. Are you looking to play rook a to e8 to try and move the king to d6 at some point, or are we just playing?
Yeah,
like
this rook is going to e8.
e4?
E8, I think.
We put a piece on e4, they'll just play f3, and then we need a
But
follow-up.
remember, well, if we go knight e4 and then they hit us with f3, Kostia's knight d6 looks really good too.
Yeah, so I think our next move is c6.
It might be c6 to free the knight if they put the bishop on like b3 or a2 or something.
Right, bishop stays here. And if they go f3, then we can go knight e8. We should have time, knight d6.
Okay. Right, so trying to improve that knight. I mean,
All right, so bishop d3.
Okay, now we have real choice.
So the obvious plan is bishop takes, rook takes, knight e4.
right. Because we don't really want to let them play knight f5 check. Still
Yeah.
a problem.
So immediate knight e4, f3, right? It's an
Right.
issue.
Yeah, and then the knight has to go to d6, I would think.
No, a bishop is hanging.
Oh, sorry, I thought you were trading first. Yeah, immediate knight e4, f3.
And then knight d. Right. So I think bishop takes is the move.
Yeah, I actually don't see another option because bishop b4 check, they go f3, and
Yeah.
we don't want this.
Then when we trade, knight f5 is awkward.
And the variation where it goes bishop takes, rook takes, knight e4, f3. The knight on d6 is amazing. It covers b7, f5.
Covers b7, which was the one thing I was worried about. Let's just make a poll or a vote or make a move because I don't see any other choice.
Yeah, let's do an informal poll. Does anyone not want bishop takes d3 here? Have a reasonable option?
Bubba, the problem with bishop e4 is that on f3 we're improving his position. Because he wants to play f3.
Yeah, he's got to play f3, and then the knight on f6 is slightly bad there. So it's really good to bring this knight through e4 to d6 right now.
Yeah, let's take that thing.
Okay. Yeah, knight
e4.
e4.
Knight e4, yeah.
Nothing else to do. Can't allow knight f5.
And they're going to play f3, knight d6, and then it'll be their move.
Yeah. Let me just get some of these forced moves out of the way quickly.
If g4 just knight d6 and we're covering the square.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, they're going to play f3 first because otherwise we have rook f2 as well for them to worry about.
True, yeah.
Like g4, rook f2, king moves, rook a f8, knight f5, we take it, and it's really good for us.
Yeah.
So they've got to play f3, and then we play knight d6, and then we seem to have everything covered. I mean, I don't see how they even approach us from there.
Yeah, I even like that, like knight b3, c6, knight c5, no threat. b7 is covered.
Yeah.
All right, knight d6.
Just play it.
I want to say something obvious. The one thing that happened that wasn't entirely great for us is by playing d5, we made it harder now to kick the knight on d4. And at some point, I think for sure, actually, even though our knight on d6 is beautiful,
Right.
if he sits, we're going to need to trade the knight to make progress.
Like, you're going to have to play knight f5 eventually to win this game, you think?
Right.
We can play rook f6 and rook a f8, but that doesn't really do much for us. The only other plan, which again they could stop with a5, would be like c6, rook c8, b6, c5 kind of thing.
Or maybe we go a5, b5, c5.
Something like that. We can't do it right away, but yeah.
I hope they play g4 at some point because then we get rook f4 and it gets much easier to.
Kostya, maybe actually a cool idea for us would be to play c6 and then we're threatening a5.
Right.
Because then b5, c5.
Yeah, exactly.
And c6 is just a good move for us anyway.
We're
Right.
definitely going to play c6 and they'll have to play a5.
But then we get b5. We got knight b5 stuff.
Right.
Because this pawn on e6 is lost. Like rook f6, rook d8, rook d6.
Mm-hmm. Right. I mean, the more we trade, the weaker the pawn on e6 becomes. Is the problem with that.
Yeah. Yep.
From a positional standpoint, you could argue that he's in really deep.
Yeah.
Really deep.
I mean, the nice thing about them playing a5, which seems nearly forced, is that if they play a5, then if we trade knights, they don't have one of those like b5 moves in an endgame to try and trade some pawns off.
Right.
Mm.
So it becomes like completely static. We can take our time circling the e6 pawn, and then we've got this huge 4-on-2 majority.
Oh, Dortam, you're right. Yeah, it's like we looked at this game in the Squire group yesterday where it was black, but they got this like pass pawn on e3. It looked strong superficially, but it was very easily blockaded and was just kind of a weakness. Though in that game it was different because like the side with this advanced pawn had enough activity with their pieces to kind of justify it. Right here we're just kind of controlling everything, and so with every move this pawn is just becoming like weaker and weaker.
Look at this king here just dominating on e7 still. So what if they try b5 here just to cover like different things they could do, right? Just like b5.
Take. Oh, rook f1 was played.
Rook f1.
Huh.
He wants to go f4, f5.
I told
Clearly.
you they'd want that.
Yeah.
It's not clear that that's really helping him that much.
I kind of like c6 and then putting the knight on f5.
Or just c6, if f4, then a5. Counter-strike.
Yeah, f5, what are they getting exactly? Nothing.
Right, I don't know what they're getting.
All right, so put a poll up, c6 or rook f6.
Okay.
Two random moves. Let people vote. Put a double question mark on rook f6.
Way ahead of you.
That move can't be that bad, man. Oh, dubious, not double question mark. Okay.
Maybe this rook f1, let's just be a little bit fair, is that with f4, then the rook on d3 could go to f3 and threaten some kind of entanglement, down the line.
Right.
Yeah, also gives us the e4 square.
I mean, rook f6, if they play f4, we win. So that was an advantage to it. Because we can just trade double rooks, and when they play rook d to f3, you just play knight f5, threatening knight h4 check. And
all right, let me play devil's advocate. So f4 for white, which I assume they're going to do, and then what? Maybe knight f5 is a move. Certainly. Or, yeah.
So f4, knight f5 is an option, or a5, I think.
Right. We have both.
oh, yeah.
And I'm guessing we don't want to take on f4 because it allows rook g3.
Also, rook takes...
Though we can put the knight on e4. I don't see what way to... Maybe gf, knight e4.
Yeah, I was also realizing that if we had played rook f6, then f4 also loses to gf, rook doubles, rook df3, knight e4, and they're just done. They can't stop knight d2 or anything.
Honestly, f4 looks really bad the more I look at it.
Yeah, knight e4 stops rook g3, also stops rook f3.
You did it. Okay, let's think about it.
Yeah, we got to think here. We got to think for a
So
sec.
we've got gf, knight f5, and a5.
Yeah, gf, they can also go rook takes f4.
I think they should, in fact, because their king is a problem there.
Right, so we should make sure we have good chances there.
Yeah. And what other move do we want to play here? Are you guys...
We can also just play immediate knight e4, because that
Right.
stops rook f3.
Right. Basically, we've got the immediate knight e4. Or we've got gf. Or are you guys really thinking of a5? I feel like we should just fight with them where they're fighting here.
Well, a5, it's certainly sharp, but it's very principled, because like b5, we want to go c5.
Right, and they can't go knight b3.
Yeah, their knight has to go somewhere bad. Like,
But then the d5 pawn is loose, so it's not simple.
yeah, we're kind of committed to like d4 there ahead of time. Or maybe, wait, is e6 going to be hanging?
Yeah.
Might be.
So let's say a5 ba, that's my concern. What about a5 ba?
What's wrong with rook takes a5? FG?
fg is my concern.
Okay. Go like rook f1, king f1, hg.
Right.
Yeah, rook f3 is no threat.
Our knight on d6 is so strong, dude.
Yeah, I think a5 takes... So a5... Yeah, I mean, if f5, it's like no threat, so we're just taking on a4.
Right.
If we play knight e4 here, and they play f5, what do you guys think of that position?
Maybe, the thing I don't like about knight e4 is our knight on d6 is so awesome.
It's true.
Covering everything.
No, it's literally better on d6 than on e4. So maybe, yeah. Knight f5 is simple, but maybe we don't need this yet.
All right, let me play devil's advocate. So a5, b5, c5. Can the guy move anywhere cool? Like knight f3.
Mm-hmm. Knight f3, g takes f4, takes on d5 maybe. Yeah.
Rook takes d5.
But we should be...
That's a pretty good position for us.
King takes e6. Yeah, it should be...
But then he's got rook takes c5.
Okay, true. Yeah, maybe a5 is a little bit loose.
But a5 is definitely what we want. a5, b5, c5, knight f3.
d4?
d4 is interesting, man. It's really interesting.
d4, fg,
hg,
knight takes...
f5, knight f5. And I'm threatening knight e3 and c4.
Yeah, those two pawns look really strong. Rook g8 also there.
I I believe in A5, man. There might be a simpler way to do this, but A5,
And on A5, B5, C5, if they go knight B3, you have C4, right? So that's
Right,
why
that's
they
the
can't attack
idea.
everything. All right.
Okay, what should be the moves here? So we have A5, we have knight F5, and
Knight
GF.
F5, GF, yeah. Knight F5 is also pretty principled. They're just like, I'm going to win the pawn on E6.
Yeah.
I'm not convinced about it, but that's definitely
To me, knight F5, yeah, it looks like a pretty straightforward grind.
But let me just say the problem to me is knight F5, FG, knight D4, let's say rook D4, takes on F1, king F1, HG, rook G4, and I'm not convinced I'm winning that thing.
You go king F6 there.
Right, but you haven't won the E6 pawn yet.
Right, I'm going to play rook E8 next.
We also have king E6, rook takes G5, A5. And then we just, if B5, you know, we take and we push A4.
Holy moly.
Okay.
But
Let's,
let's say A5 and knight F5, maybe some other moves.
let the crowd decide, but not really sure. I don't know how I'm voting yet.
I'm a little bit going with my heart here, I gotta say. We had that, you know, the difference between knight F5 and A5 is a little bit like the difference earlier between bishop C6 and bishop E8. A5 definitely feels like it's risky because there's more things that white could potentially do, but
Yeah.
it definitely feels also like it's just a body blow.
Okay, well, gonna go with the crowd. We're doing it.
Crowd went for it.
Could be the
man,
start
guys.
of, yeah, I think it could have been more technical, but
This feels messy. If we'd played my rook F6 move that you put a dubious on, I think like white couldn't have done anything. They were just sitting there. Like he wanted to play F4 and rook F6 prevented it.
Well, let me just say
that's
something.
true. That's
The guy
absolutely
is
fair.
the guy might have some tactical shots here, but he is really positionally lost. I mean, this is just positionally lost.
Yeah.
So let's try to find counterplay for the guy. So B5.
The only line, yeah, I'm concerned is C5, knight F3.
Right. Let's do that D4 again because that was fun. We got those connected rollers, man. So
Yeah.
D4, FG is his only chance to make drama.
Mm-hmm. Then knight F5 at some point.
Yeah. Knight F5, that's a pretty good move. And he's going to have to sack the exchange or something.
Yeah, I believe in these two connected passers. I think those are going to be really strong.
Yeah, it's really strong. And the knight on G5 is not really threatening to unblockade us, which he has. That's the only way he's really going to crush us is to attack the king. Or let's not say crush, let's say counterplay.
Yeah. But F5, I mean, we just take on B4.
Oh yeah, F5 takes D4. Our pawns are rolling.
Yeah. I mean, our king is working. I mean, this is like, it's like, I mean, what would you guys say? Extra 2 points, 2.5 points?
Let me try BA again. So it was BA, and then David played, I think, rook takes A5. Yeah, the thing is, there's no rook F3, F7 ever because my knight is a genius.
Yeah.
My knight's a freaking genius on D6, man. It's covering everything.
I feel like I learned this from Lenderman. He had like some videos on the QGD, and he's like, the knight on D6 is the best. And then I played him in a game like Carlsbad structure. We traded a bunch of minor pieces, one knight each. Mine was like on E5 or C5. His was on D6, and he's just better with black.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah, so I agreed. King E7 was awesome. That was Bruce's move.
yeah. Okay, they're under 1 minute. This is looking nice.
All right. If they play B5, are we just playing C5, Kostya?
Yeah, I don't see another choice. The
The other
CB
choice
knight
would
takes
be
B5.
rook A to C8. Just holding still or something.
Yeah. But I'm liking the c5, d4, knight f5.
All right.
All right, let's do it. Now we're expecting knight f3. I don't really see another move because this is the only move that creates threats. And we're not really worried. Someone was mentioning knight e5 because once the knight gets to e5, we just play king takes e6 and we're very safe, it seems.
Right.
Actually,
They did it.
we could go king takes e6 here.
Yep. But then when they play FG, I'm not sure what our improvement is over d4 there.
Well, the idea would be a d4, king d5.
Right. But we could also play d4 first. It doesn't lose that possibility.
Oh, that's true.
D4.
Yeah, just d4, right?
Yeah. Our d5 pawn is hanging's ledge, and we really like our d5 pawn, so here we go with it.
Yeah, we calculated earlier gf4, rook d5. I think white is fine, or just is getting a lot of counterplay, so we don't want this.
All right, so FG, our first intuition was HG, knight G5, knight F5.
Yeah. If rook c1 there, we can go rook c8 or b6, but I like rook c8.
Okay.
Or knight E3, honestly. Knight E3 is going to work. But yeah.
Knight e3. Yeah, it's possible too.
The only question is, do we want to play knight F5 now? And I don't...
Then they take on h6, right?
Yeah, that gets too messy for me. Let's take D5.
Yeah.
Okay.
By the way, after knight G5, in addition to knight F5, there's also knight C4.
Right.
Hmm,
But that
to go
doesn't
to-
have the dual threat of c4, right?
To go to e5.
But I should say knight C4 does allow rook F7, which knight F5 does not.
Okay. Knight f5 looks good. I don't know what else we're doing.
Knight f5 does look good. I guess we don't like trading because I think with these pawns we actually want to kind of keep more pieces on the board so we can threaten to push pawns, as well as like this knight e3 counterplay with like rook f2 ideas if allowed, rook f1, this kind of stuff.
Though I'll go on the record in saying rook F1 is also good for black, but knight F5 definitely was our star impression.
Okay, should we just go with that? Save some time?
All right, sure.
Okay, we didn't mention, but knight h7, I think knight e3 check takes, rook takes f1 is winning.
Mm-hmm.
I have to admit, I didn't think of knight h7 when I recommended this. But
Yeah.
So I'm expecting something here like king to g1, knight to e3, rook takes f8, rook takes f8.
King
That's
g1, really?
That's just stunner for us, man.
I don't know. I imagine you guys would be happy with that. I'm just
Yeah.
saying, like, they don't have a ton of time. They're going to see knight e3 as a threat. I mean, what are they going to do?
I think rook c1 kind of feels like...
Rook c1? Okay. They could also go rook e1, just planning to take on e3.
One of the terrible
Replace
things about rook
C4,
c1
yeah.
is that his rooks are done after that.
Right.
I would just play b6. The knight is tied to the pawn on e6. Knight e3 is coming. Oh, man.
Yeah, I'm like really not worried about these double pawns because or the connected pawns, because if the knight moves on g5, we're just winning the e pawn, but otherwise the knight is like blocking the pawn. So white is really stuck here.
They are pretty stuck. Yeah.
No, I'm glad we went for this. I wasn't sure at first, but seeing it now, I think it's becoming much more clear.
Hard to get a lot of pulls in, but whoa,
F4.
something else.
I was actually thinking that maybe an ingenious move for the guy might have been rook f3, intending knight e3, rook f takes e3, and then rook d7, but I don't even think that works anyway.
Yeah.
So what's the plan here for the opponent?
Maybe knight e3, king f3?
Seems like. If c4, I think they might be wanting to take.
If c4 they're wanting to take, so my first thought is rook a8. Unless they're up to something, I want to threaten c4.
Right.
But after rook
Maybe
a8,
knight
there's
h7 is the move I didn't
h7.
look at.
Rook f4 was maybe clever,
Maybe it threatens knight h7.
but also on knight e3, king f3, we have to kind of worry about rook f7 stuff. All right, let's pause for a second.
How about knight e3, king f3, knight d5,
Rook f7.
rook f7, we take, pawn takes, and knight b4.
Okay, and then rook d1.
Actually, maybe instead of knight d4, maybe we go b6 there, preparing like. Actually, no, we don't have king f6 yet because they'll have promotion, knight h7. But I do like this knight on d5 now.
I don't like that he got to rook f7. That was the thing that bummed me out. Let's look. Let's spend a second here. So, knight h7 is the problem.
We can also take on f4. It's a little risky, but we are blockading here.
I don't like spending time bringing white's king up.
Oh, I was thinking they would take with a pawn.
No, but just in general, the whole knight e3 thing, I'm not pumped about.
I'm not pumped on it either, actually. Rook f4, I'm going to give him props. That was a good move, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is amazing, this move.
I mean, the knight can still go to d6. But then it's hard to push our pawns.
There's some tactic here, for sure of it. Like, we just got to.
All right, so on knight h7, do we have knight e3 check still? Like, let's say I play rook 88 here. Knight h7, knight e3 check.
Let's say rook.
If rook takes, then I have rook f4 still, right? Like before.
Yeah, why wouldn't that? Yeah, that should work. So knight e3, they're going.
Oh, yeah, nice move, good.
So then they're going king f3.
Okay. And then I'm playing, I don't know,
Rook f4 and c4.
rook f4 and c4.
Nice, and then the pawn on e6 is hanging.
And the pawn on e6 is hanging, the knight's on h7. Like,
Oh, nice. Rook ad8, dude. Nice move. Very
so if they're
nice.
not really threatening knight h7, then let's keep doing what we want to do.
Yeah.
Okay, last call, guys. If you have anyone in the chat doesn't like rook ad8, speak up, but I think we're just going to go for this one.
Rook ad8, man. That's the man's move. Because they told me when I was a kid to put my rooks behind the pass pawns.
Yeah.
Yeah, looks good.
All right, let's do it.
So maybe their only idea here really was to be able to play c4, rook takes d4. And so this move just reintroduced.
And also knight e3 to rook f7. I thought that was kind of annoying, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, man, we got an engine going there with our pawns, dude. That is an engine.
Yeah,
Great
so everything.
tells us to keep it simple.
It's a good advice. Just
Keep
defend
it
this guy.
simple.
Push c4.
Oh, man. This game is pretty intense.
Very instructive, though.
Yeah.
Indeed. I'm looking forward to learning something when I go through it, like I did last night with last week's game.
I could see Magnus playing this game with black. Not gonna lie.
How about this?
You're all over yourself, man.
How about this? King f3, right? King f3.
c4.
And if c4, just rook d1.
Mm-hmm.
Well, c3.
And c3, good. I think something like that could be a question mark. And then, you know, there's real, at least there his king is active, you know?
Right.
I think that would be my intuition for white.
Yeah.
Something like king.
But I think we can survive that because the king can't go to e4 or e2 because of knight g3 check. So it's like, what next for them? And our what next is c3 to c2.
Okay.
Something else.
F3.
Okay, they want rook f7. So knight e3, I think they're just moving the king.
Let me just say d3 is a possibility
Right.
for us here.
d3, rook takes knight, rook takes, d2, rook f7 check, king e8, knight h7,
Knight h7, good move.
or even knight e4. Ooh, knight e4.
Yeah, knight e4 kills it.
d2.
Yeah, so d3's out. We have rook d5, but maybe g4. But knight on g5 will be hanging.
Yeah.
Oh, rook d5 is kind of clever, dude. Yeah.
I'd sort of been planning rook d5 before as an idea, but then there's this knight h7, and I'm not sure.
But rook d5, knight h7, knight e3.
Yeah.
Maybe on rook d5, since it's an absolute pin, he can think about king f2 there. But then d3, of course, is our move.
Yeah.
But then king e1, maybe he's somehow... Holy moly.
The problem with knight e3 is basically that then we can't move our pawns, right?
Exactly.
So 93, it's king f2, right? Yeah.
Oh, we got 3 minutes, everybody.
Let's find a reason why rook d5 is bad, and if not, I think we should go for that.
Okay, good. Rook d5.
I think king f2 would be the try, and then d3, king e1.
Yeah.
What if king f2 we go c4?
Sure, you can try that too.
g4.
Oh, g4 is a problem, yeah.
Yeah, so we got to go d3 to be fast enough to deal with g4.
So then king e1, d2, king d1.
Man, that rook f7 94 thing was a little bit of a bummer. Man, oh man.
Okay, we also have knight d6 as an option. And if we trade all the rooks, our 2 pawns are really strong.
Yeah, but not that much stronger here. The white king's getting in. And we don't have the motor.
Okay, we're going to have to decide next minute. But rook d5, king f2, I just don't see a move. g4 is coming.
Okay. One thing about it though is like rook d5, king f2, d3, king e1, d2, king d1, and the guy's not threatening g4 because knight e3.
It's true.
Right.
And,
What if there's some...
Oh, we have time for
play
c4.
We can play
Yeah.
c4 because on
Rook
rook
c4,
c4 there's
knight
knight
e3.
e3, rook e3, rook f1.
But we're not threatening anything with c4.
We've
'cause
got a
of-
minute. We got to play rook d5, I think.
All right, do it, do
Look
it.
at-
Damn it. We let it get out of control, dude. We let it get out of fucking control. Shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Well, they have to find king f2. I'm sure they will in a couple of seconds.
All right, on king f2, we're playing d3, right? I don't know what else we're going
I
to
think
do.
we have to, yeah. Well, yeah, we're just not sure. Like d3, king e1, d2, king d1. And then we need...
And then we're going to play c4 there, I think.
we play
c4 doesn't have
c4.
a threat is the bummer. Damn it.
What if they play knight h7 at some point there?
I know, dude. Knight h7 and g4 are really like holy moly situations.
Okay, I think we should play c4 with the pawn on d3 instead of d2.
So king f2, or excuse me, king f2,
d3, king e1, c4. Because if rook c4, we've got d2 forcing the same thing. And otherwise, we leave our pawn on d3, we put the other pawn from c4 to c3.
Yeah, that's smart.
Okay, d3.
d3. Sonny K just said the same thing.
Holy moly, this is hot.
Yeah.
On king e1, c4, he could think about king d2.
King d2, yeah.
And then we could think about rook c8. I mean, it's hot.
No, king d2, we go c3 check, yeah?
Yes, yes. Correct.
Okay, we're getting it ready. King e1, c4, and if rook c4, we have d2. King d1 is forced. Knight e3 wins the frickin' game.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everyone, I want one other idea on our radars, which is in some positions we can play like knight takes g3, rook takes f8, rook takes g5 as an exchange sack.
All right, c4, guys, let's do it.
c4. Hit him.
He might think about knight e4 here.
Hit him.
Knight e4 isn't dumb. Oh, fuck, knight e4 is potentially strong. It makes a lot of intuitive sense to me, too.
Wait, we
Knight e4,
take
can
on
we just
e6?
Take the pawn with our king?
And then g4.
Mm-hmm.
G4.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Ah, it's so intense.
Yeah, I know.
What are we gonna do after 94?
Well, there's rook e5,
Oh, okay, it's a thought, yeah.
king d2.
But even rook e5, g4 again. But I believe in that position. Okay, he did it. C3 looks strong, but let's calculate it. We have a little bit of time
Yeah,
now.
c3 takes d2. What is he doing?
That looks bad. That looks terrible.
Rook f1,
D1?
Or
d1.
then you take and he's winning the knight. No, he's not winning the knight on f5. Because
No,
we
he's
don't
not
check
winning.
on c8.
Yeah, we always have rook c8 check to get out of the pin if we want, or knight h7
Oh,
stuff.
I think king d2 is a bad move, bro.
Probably.
Yeah, knight e4.
C3 looks bad.
They
Looks
missed.
big. All right, c3. Let's roll them, boys. Good night. Bam.
You want to let people vote on C3 versus some other moves so they feel like they picked C3?
Three.
Well, at this point, we're so low on time. I think you guys should just vote with typing the move in the chat. I don't think we just don't have
Okay,
time
guys.
for.
All right, I'm
You
seeing
can vote by
C3.
typing moves. We're not going to set up polls. If there's a move you want us to play, type it.
Yeah, if he gets enough support, we'll shoot it down gently. But well, their response isn't immediate, so I think they missed this one.
Yeah.
Man, we got lucky though. It didn't have to be like this.
It's true. He found two good moves.
I'm pretty sure you guys should have played rook f6 instead of c6 long ago.
Well, also maybe the knight f5 instead of my the immediate knight f5 instead of my a5 move. Right.
A5 was risky as well.
Yeah, I regret a5 for sure.
They had a nice move though. I gotta say.
All right, so they're going to retreat the king here.
They're toast.
No, I think they're going to try to give the exchange. Yeah,
D2.
I think they have to give the exchange. Oh, we also have rook
Exchange
c8
or the
first.
rook?
We can
They have to give me the rook.
We
They're
have
not giving-
rook c8 knight e3 maybe. Rook f7 is annoying, but
I'm not going to allow them another check. Better to just be up a rook when we're this
Yeah, we're up a rook, buddy.
oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I keep thinking it's an exchange. Sorry. Yeah,
No. They're hosed.
rook is too much. Yeah,
Oh man.
Simon
that was
Williams
a
didn't
tight
cover
game.
the rook. Rook sack.
Oh, that was more intense than I.
than you planned for.
Yeah, and classic. It happened. Their mistake, king d2, happened on move 41. The move after time control.
Let me make an announcement for.
Oh, they resigned. Wow,
Yeah.
Nice.
that's it.
GG.
Good game, guys.
Let me make an announcement. I'm coming back in just 7 minutes, and I am going to do the Vishnu versus my student game. That's coming up. So it goes on here at Chess Dojo.
Very short break. Oh, man. Man, if we're putting up hours and hours and hours of content, that's awesome. That's awesome that there's this much going on.
Yeah.
Um,
That was a tight game, man. Dang.
Yeah, that was very close. I was really nervous
It
there
says
about
draw, by the
94.
way. What's going on there?
Oh well, the first game we drew
Oh.
because they needed a take back, so we just ended it. Yeah, I guess so. We won't have time to analyze this game because Jesse's going to be jumping right into
right.
the next show. Oh, it looks like they're rating real quick. So
Looks like they're
we'll
coming
just-
here to chat with us for 5 minutes.
We'll
which is
say
nice.
hello and then bounce off.
I'm going to take a quick break, say hi to them, and then I'm going to start.
Yeah, Jesse, you go ahead.
Yeah, Jesse, you go take 2 minutes. When can we analyze? We can analyze, but not right now because we got another show coming up on our channel in just like 4 minutes here. So on the Chess England online homepage, we want to tell you guys about, says Adam, who is one of the 2 leaders of the ChessPatzer game today.
Yeah, guys, if you want to, by the way, check out their side of things, you should check out their channel. They'll have a Twitch replay. Actually, it was a lot of fun watching the last one. If you guys are here, ChessPatzer, yeah, we feel actually pretty fortunate about this one. Like, we thought instead of king d2, like knight e4 was actually very unpleasant. We didn't have an answer to this one yet. So,
And it was still super complicated, seemingly. Awesome. The other thing I want to mention while we've got a minute or two before Jesse gets in here is that we have a match next week that's going to be like a live club match where you play against one other person. And it's going to be against the Argentina Krakens. I guess I can put info for how to join that in the announcements in the Chess Dojo
Yeah, that'll be up in the Discord.
Discord. Is that what would make the most sense, Kostya, to announce that?
Yeah, so if you guys haven't joined the Discord, absolutely make sure to do so. And so that'll be a team battle. That means we'll want you guys to step in and play for us.
Yeah. And we're going to be doing it through a fan club on chess.com. So I'm going to send you guys this thing. So the way a live fan club works is you have to be on one of the two clubs, and then the clubs get paired against each other, and it sort of plays 1 against 1, 2 against 2, all the way down the line. So you would have to be part of my like chess.com club that I have here, and then we'll play against the Argentina Krakens fan club. So it'll be you'll play 2 games against somebody at about your level, hopefully. At a time control of 10 minutes and 2 seconds, so about 25 minutes for a game. And then once 2 rounds have been played, we'll keep going. We'll analyze the games that have been played. So that's next Sunday.
Yeah, that'll be fun. I'll join you for commentary for that.
Yeah, and I don't know when our next match with ChessPatzerUK will be, but I think there's going to be a third match, right, Kostya?
Oh, absolutely. And we were talking, if you guys are still here, we would love to do a team battle. Where your viewers play against our viewers, and then we can do some
that same kind
dual
of format,
commentary.
right? Like 10 people or 20 people from each side, just play one other person a game or 2.
Yeah, I think that would be fun. Okay, well, I'll be signing off for now, but you guys should literally just stay on here because Jesse's going to be doing commentary on one of his students' games. The last one was really fun. That was like the Great London Rumble.
Great London Rumble. And today they're expecting the Black Lion. Is that what it was called?
That's right. His student is playing the Black Lion. So yeah, you guys in the UK might be interested as well. But for sure, we'll have to organize a third match.
Yeah.
And so for analysis of this game, unfortunately, we won't have time to do it today, but we will be posting a YouTube analysis of the game sometime this week. So make sure to follow our YouTube channel as well.
We'll definitely study it at some point. I'm not allowed to play a game until I've analyzed the previous game. That's Jesse's rule, and I'm sticking by it. So. That's why I had to. That's why last night I was studying last week's game late into the night so that Jesse would clear me to play today.
Well, why don't you do it then, dude? You do the analysis on a YouTube video.
I am going to do the analysis.
Okay, good. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll try to do at least
more
one
frequently
match.
Once a week, says Great Helm. We should do this more frequently.
Yeah, at least once per week.
Yeah, I that was a good time. I thought that was beautiful.
I learned a lot, actually. I think it was a really
this
interesting
game was so much to learn. Last week's game, I had like a couple things to learn, but this week it's like
last week was simpler, but like a harder lesson to learn.
Yeah.
All right, I'll sign off now, and Jesse's going to be right back with the commentary.
Yeah, take care, everybody, and enjoy.